Hello, welcome back to Mr. Arsenal podcast. For an actual podcast, not a watch on for once, for the first time in months. You must be all thrilled.
Go!
Get the Willy Copter out.
Straight in there already.
They're already calling for it. They want the full Melvin already. Nice.
What minute are you, Ryan? What minute are you?
What game are we watching, lads? What game is it?
Are you still watching the Brighton match, Melvin?
We're watching Arsenal versus Aston 2004.
When we were good.
Yeah, we actually won titles and competed for titles at least, and didn't accept this mediocrity we're about to get into. As you can see, you guys are joined by the familiar faces: Melvin, Russ, best friend Sam, Gary, Andrew, and new to the channel as well from yesterday, Guna Suze. How you doing?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Good.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Very good. Nice to meet you, mate.
Oh, thank you.
All things considered, not too bad because our team gives us that hope. It gives us a hope for the last 6 weeks, and then after the Wolves game, do you think they come with a reaction, come with a bit of a spark, a bit of something about them, especially under Mikel? He's meant to be bringing us this new mentality. But again, we saw yesterday it was the same thing with the reaction, the mentality. It's not changed, and it's one mistake costs us again. And then, but again, the reaction of the players for the entire 90 minutes, we don't really put the pressure on the opponent. Not like, as I keep saying, I've said a few times in this channel, home or away years ago when we first moved to the Emirates. For the last 10 minutes, if we're losing 1-0, it's 1-0. We're making that team fucking work for that point, or 3 points respectively. We're slamming their goalkeeper left, right, and centre. We don't do that anymore. It's the more this is happening, it's more concerning. Especially this season, we've now lost 10 games, more games than we've won, and it's very concerning. I mean, Melvin, you've had 24 hours to sort of soak it in. What are your thoughts on all it all?
Well, on the last game, most certainly, what's most disappointing, one of the things is we had 88 minutes to try and get a goal, and we never seemed to go from second gear into third or fourth gear. We stayed in second gear the whole time. We didn't try anything new, and I'm not talking about changing the players. I'm talking about the intensity of the game. We didn't try anything new at all, and it's just we are. To me, we make it very easy for teams to defend against us. You know, I think if we played West Brom again, and that type of performance, we wouldn't score against them. I know we got 4 against them on the ice, but we wouldn't because they would know how to set up against us. And if it doesn't work in the first minute, what we're doing, there's a chance it ain't going to work in the 89th minute. We've got to learn to change things and the intensity. I mean, like you said, when we were at Highbury, for example, 1-0 down to any team, the last 10 minutes, we would pound their goal with shots and crosses and even the throw-ons. I remember the crowd, we used to get up for throw-ons, didn't we, the last 5-10 minutes? It felt like we were blowing the ball in the net. You get nothing like this at the moment. I'm not talking about the crowd not being there. I'm thinking about the players not realising how long to go. They play in the 5th minute like they would play in the 85th minute when we're still 1-0 down. And we haven't learned. And there's certain players in the team, I'm not going to mention, that when we're 1-0 up, it's great. They can do a little bit of a shimmy shamble, do a bit of a pivot, a swivel, and do what they want. But when we need that goal, they're still doing the same thing instead of getting forward, doing first-time passes. And we had a lot of times yesterday where the wide men, most certainly, I'm going to mention him, Pepe, I didn't think was disastrous, but where he was bad at, he wanted to take the extra touch before crossing the ball, and it gave the defence a chance to organise themselves. So that's a couple of my gripes from yesterday anyway.
I mean, Andrew, obviously had you on the channel for a while. So again, what are your thoughts on everything that's going on? Because as I said, we had that 6-week period where we seemed things had turned and we're still going in the right direction. We literally were up to the Wolves game a few points off that Champions League spot. So there was that hope of we could still get them out of challenge for that at least. And then obviously what happened there, and it's sort of again, like I said, there was no reaction from the players yesterday. It just seemed like it's like, oh, we have to, we're here, great, whatever. Go 1-0 down from a mistake from players out of position, but a player that can play there. It was I don't know what his thing. It was such a soft pass, but it caused that situation. They didn't set themselves right. It all fell apart, as we know. They went 1-0 up. But you expect a reaction, and yeah, we had a few chances here and there, but it wasn't like, oh right, this is it. We're 1-0 down. We're now going to turn the screw on them and put the pressure on them and make them work for this 3 points. I mean, as I said, what are your thoughts on it? Before I can repeat myself otherwise.
I didn't think it was that bad. I honestly didn't think it was that bad. I don't see where, the massive drop-off has been since we were winning those games. I thought we played fairly well yesterday. Not brilliantly, but fairly well, but we were against an excellent team. We've got to say that. The Villa team are really, really good this year. And, they hit us early. But I don't think we let our heads drop too much, personally. I thought we played quite well for most of it. And I thought we were really knocking on the door most of the way through the match. I thought we played some pretty decent stuff. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I think the one that let us down a little bit yesterday, I think, was Lacazette's movement wasn't quite there. I think he's probably feeling a bit of fatigue, if I'm completely honest. Overall, I don't see where the massive complaints are. We've lost a couple of games on the trot, which is really annoying. We had that draw against Man United. But I don't see too much of a difference from when we were winning those games. I think we're still playing fairly well, personally. I don't know what everyone else thinks.
Yeah, I think most of the outcries from basically the whole of the season as a whole, because it hasn't been fantastic, has it? Let's be honest. We started off, obviously the first game with a win, a comfortable win from Fulham, and we were going and out wins here and there. We weren't playing great, but we're getting the wins, and then we started losing. Then we win, we'll lose, and then we went on this massive month and a half period of just weren't winning at all. We were literally apart from the Leeds away, we lost every game in the league.
Yeah, but
and then we hit box. And then we hit box. Sorry, then we hit box.
Snooker analogy. We're not getting the rub of the green, are we, mate? We are not getting the rub. We had a Stonewall penalty yesterday. Stonewall penalty, which wasn't given again. And how many times has that happened? I'm not blaming a penalty for losing the game, but how many times has that got to happen to us?
Completely agree, mate.
Things actually. Oh, Ryan's gone. Must have got pissed off because I interrupted him. But yeah, I mean, how annoying is it when we literally don't get anything like that? We don't get
I was saying the same thing yesterday, Andrew. We all these decisions we do not get. It's ridiculous.
They add up. They really add up, don't they? They really add up.
Sam, Sam, bite your tongue.
I'm poking the Sam right now.
No, I mean, he's right. He's right. No, but he's right. It is. There's loads of decisions going against us. I'm just saying, I don't think there's like an agenda there against us. It's just poor refereeing. And I watch other podcasts as well with other teams involved, and they're saying the same things about their matches. It's just poor all over. Basically, the level is just not good enough. They're missing VAR's not being used in many games, not just ours. It's terrible. I'm just saying. I think it's terrible. I'm just saying I don't think there is a conscious decision behind it other than they protect each other. It's protectionism. They're protecting each other's backs. It's not about Arsenal. It's about them protecting each other. That's what it's about.
Yeah. You know what? The good thing is, it's taken us 9 minutes to talk about it.
But when I said about the rub of the green, it's not just the referees as well. It's the fact that how many times are we going to lose to a deflected shitty goal as well, like yesterday? I mean, when's the last time we had a bit of luck in front of the goal where it hit someone's arse and we flew in the other side of the goal?
It did happen. It did happen last year, right? I mean, we came up, we put a little pressure on Liverpool, and they kind of coughed out the ball, and we were able to score.
Van Dijk,
yeah. So I mean, and that's one of the best defenders in the world, right? So it did happen. We're not getting it this year for sure.
Not as often as other.
We're really not. Really frustrating. I mean, they were going on and on, kissing their asses yesterday, Villa, and fair play because the turnaround this season to last is incredible. I mean, I don't think I've seen a team turn around so much as they have from one season to the next. However,
apart from Leicester,
Yeah, apart from Leicester winning the league, yeah.
Well, actually, very good point. Very good point. I'll take that on board. But seriously, they were just like they had their tongues up their asses the whole match. But that was just a shitty goal. It was an absolutely shitty goal. You know, Gabriel, I don't think he's played alongside
Rob Holding.
Cedric at all yet.
Cedric, yeah.
Because he's been out. And there was a big misunderstanding between those. The pass was too short, but also Gabriel should have come forward towards the pass, but he didn't, and it was just one of those things. But the shot just went in off the inside of Rob Holding's leg, and that's won them the game. You know,
Is that
it's just so
Andrew? Is that
frustrating.
really what you expect your centre back to do in that situation? Is to come up? I mean, you're already on that side of the field. You want to come up even more?
He didn't read. No, he didn't read that the pass very well at all that Cedric was making to him. However, Cedric underhit the pass, no question. But there was a bit of a misunderstanding between the two of them, clearly.
It's just called for the whole, and it just caused a whole lot of mess. And it obviously, as you said, it led to the goal. And Rob Holding didn't cover himself in glory either in that situation either. But it's like you said, we don't get the rub of the green with things like that. But we put ourselves. For how many years have we seen ourselves put ourselves in that situation and allow and give points away, even if it's a point or two here? It's a common thing. This is a thing that Mikel Arteta was meant to. He's been in the job over a year now. He was meant to knock it out of them by now. And the thing is, that style of play wise, we are seeing the style of play that Arteta wants, because obviously the first half of the Wolves game, we were the best football we played and the best first half of football we played under him in the entire time he's been here. So you're starting to see something there, and then obviously we will know what happened. We won't go back into that, but we will know what happened that caused the whole downfall there. But yesterday, up till that the first couple of minutes, obviously Cedric does what he does. There's no excuse from the players. They're still backing off, allowing Villa to come at them and play their game, giving Villa that respect. That again, do they really want that? But I'm saying, do they really want that in the sense of for 2 minutes? We'll just back off you and let you play at your tempo. We won't play at our tempo. We'll play at your tempo. Why aren't we being aggressive enough? We're meant to be this team that wants to be in the Champions League. A Champions League team, as they should know, you take home or away. You force the issue. You try and play at your tempo. We didn't do that at all yesterday. From what I saw, anyway. I mean, Sam, what do you take away from what's going on? Well, these not just yesterday, but the defeats as a whole this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've done a lot of poor. There's been until recently, Arteta's made a lot of mistakes in terms of team selection and tactics, and he's made a lot of mistakes. I think when he was forced into using the younger kids like Smith Rowe and when he moved Saka out right, which was a good decision. Then we started to play better, and we started to see a more dynamic team, and we started to play better overall. So he has done the right thing by sticking with them, which is what we should have done. But unfortunately, these kids, we're playing a condensed season, right? So we're playing games every few days now, and it is going to tell its toll mentally, physically. So you do have to give players a little bit of a breather here and there, and unfortunately, the players we have who are supposed to be the starting players, who are now the backup players, they're just not good enough. Like the Williams or Aubameyang's, just his form was completely shot. I would even argue, like the likes of Pepe is off and on. He's been on a bit lately now, but he's had many games where he's not been on, and it makes life difficult for us. It really does, but. Now we've gone back a little bit now where we're missing our chances. We're not really creating enough chances. I don't feel, but what we are doing, which at least is in my eyes a step in the right direction, is we are a lot more solid defensively than we were before. even though there are some individual mistakes here and there, which we need to iron out. And hopefully we will see that with what hopefully will be our best centre-back pairing eventually when that's ironed out. We are doing a lot better defensively. We've had a lot of clean sheets lately. Before the last couple of games, we've been defending well. We've been looking good. Behind the ball. It's just that in transition, we're still too slow in transition. We're not direct enough. We use too many touches, and as Melvin said previously, he's dead right. When we take these touches and we're in transition, teams get set. They get set in their 2 banks of 4 or the set of 4 and 5, and it becomes too difficult to break down. There's no space in between to use. We're not fast enough and agile enough to use that space. So it becomes difficult. We need our best football. We play our best football, which we did against Wolves in the first half, and our best spells this season is when we play direct with only 2 touches, 2 or maximum 3 touches on the ball, and taking more risks with the passes. We've got to take more risks with the passes. You've got to play that pass where you're not entirely sure if your player's going to get on the ball, but you're playing it into space where he should get onto the ball. And if he gets onto it, he's going to create something. Those little half chances where we don't really play, we'll play sideways or backwards to someone who's available instead. We need to take more risks to create openings, because you don't create openings unless you're either running past the player to open up, someone in behind, or you've got to play those balls with higher risk and, get those half chances going, because or else we're just going nowhere. We're just passing the ball around, and it's easy for Aston Villa when we do that. I didn't think we pushed them enough. We made it a bit too easy for Aston Villa, in my opinion. They're a good team, yes they are, but we made it a bit too easy for them, I think.
Well, before I get into James's comment on the screen here, I've been saying for years and years and years, even under Wenger, the last few years under Wenger, when there's certain games where we were a bit low in tempo, when we up the tempo. Whenever we up the tempo, we play with a bit of pace to our game, a bit of aggression. No team can cope with us in this league. They all defensively, they all go a bit, because we're going at them, and we have the players to do that. Well, and as you said, when we don't do that, we are so easy to read. We're making it easy for the opponent, because they can get back in position, get themselves set, 2 banks of 4 or whatever. No matter who we're playing, we played Sheffield United this season, but at home, and we won 2-1. And it could have finished 2-2, even though we were winning 2-0 at one point and looked comfortable. It could have been 2-2 or worse. The longer the game had gone on, if the game had gone on a bit longer, because we suddenly dropped the tempo. We sort of gone, okay, that's okay. We take the foot off the gas. We're 2-0 up, and we again. It's a mindset of that. It's been in this squad, in this club, for years now. It's getting beyond frustrating, because I keep saying it, and every time they do up the tempo, I'm proven right, because we do what happens? We score goals. We make the teams look a bit, mindless themselves. Like, oh no, here we go. But as James says in the chat, he says you're not solid defensively when you can see 65% of your goals in the first half. You can see up to 74 seconds. I mean, exactly. How is it we are the second best defense?
I just want to counter that, because we are a lot more solid this season than last season defensively. We're letting in fewer goals. We have more clean sheets. Yes, we're still making mistakes. I'm not saying it's perfect, and I didn't say we are solid as in we're like we used to be with our old, the golden back 5 with, Adams, Bold and them. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we've improved over the last season defensively. We're still not where we should be, but we are better. There's still a long way to go. But we've gone with Emery. If people remember those last few games under Emery, we were conceding 30 shots a game. That was just ridiculous. So, when you look back at that, we have improved. That's what my point is.
Well, under Emery as well.
Best defence in the league.
Yeah, and
exactly. Statistically, the best, second best. We were until last game.
Vane Arsenal fan circle says going forward we are not scoring enough to offset losing a goal here or there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. The great teams that we used to see. The Invincible season, the double win in 02, the 98 team, George Graham's era. They'd make mistakes here and there, don't get me wrong. and they'll concede a goal that you shouldn't concede, but they still had something up front. They still had a bit of bite to them to go to counteract that, and it wouldn't be a massive thing made out of it because you know what, from the media side of it, because you know what, we've won the game. Whereas because we haven't got that bite at the moment, it's been a big a deal being made out of it because we haven't. It isn't. I mean, our captain, our striker, Aubameyang, the one that's come in since he's come in, it's been scoring goals left, right, and centre, no matter what. They suddenly signed a contract after match day one, and then his form's dipped off. We could put it down to because we don't know how long his mother's been ill, so he could put it down to that. Maybe mentally he weren't in it properly because he's worried about his mum. Maybe you don't know. We brought in Willian on a fee for 3 years, and he hasn't done apart from literally the Fulham game itself. The assists on that day, he hasn't contributed to the team at all. But yet he's constantly getting either picked first team like straight away for the first team squad 11, or he comes off the bench like he did yesterday when you got someone like Martinelli in the bench. That's another thing that's going around as well. That maybe it's either Arteta's coach doing the right thing from one side, or you've got the other side saying he doesn't like Martinelli, and why? Because obviously bringing in Willian. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on that as well. Do you believe what side do you sort of want? Do you think his coach just used easing him in, don't want to overplay him and this, that, and the other, or you think he just doesn't like him? There's something he doesn't like about Martinelli at the moment. Melvin, you had a hand up there, sorry.
Yeah, I don't want to hear any more from the press or via the press or from Arteta about them being aggravation between any of the players and him. I don't want to hear all this. I just want him to do his job, be a manager, coach him, and get on with it. I'm fed up with it being made for the press talking about us like that. If it's not true, the management should say something about it. We don't want in wars with our club because we do that, we finish, no matter how good our centre forward is or our goalkeeper is. This is actually pathetic what's going on at the club. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. All the great clubs all have arguments every day probably, but they don't have it in the press. And another thing is I don't want our manager, if it is true, and hopefully it's not, to have vendettas against footballers. If you don't like footballers, if you don't like the way they chew their food, that's too bad. They're good enough, they should be in the team. Right? It's not about personalities. It's about, in my opinion, what you do on the pitch and if you can get on with the rest of the team. I don't care if he doesn't put his tie on when he should. And I think there's too much of that going on. And when you're talking about, let's go to Aubameyang, for example, and he's been a terrific player for us. And there's a but coming, obviously. But I'm very sad with what's happened to his mother, and he should get well, and he should be fine, and she should be fantastic. But if you're talking to me about him, the way he played when he came on yesterday, ducking headers when crosses coming in, and you're thinking it's to do about outside influences, then it's the manager or he should not be picked, or the manager shouldn't pick him. If you're good enough, if the manager thinks you're good enough, and you tell the manager you're good enough, you should give 100% once you're on that pitch. And I don't want any excuses for any Arsenal player once they're on that pitch, once the manager knows what's going on and the player knows what's going on. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, this also goes back to what we said yesterday in the start of the watch along when we we're going through talking about the lineups and all that, about Aubameyang, so him being on the bench as a club captain as well, not the top goal scorer and this, that, and the other, but that sort of sets an example to the rest of the team. And he doesn't really have an excuse really, because in the sense of bringing him on, yeah, you could say he panicked and maybe he just went to the most reliable person he's had since he's come in, and so since Aubameyang's come in himself. But he had Martinelli on the bench, and Martinelli can play up front himself. He can play in that role if necessary. This is another reason why, again, people are then saying, well, you had him there twice. You could have put him on out of two subs you made, and you didn't. You can't say he's not fit, because if you say he's not fit, he's on the bench. Why is he taking up the space that could be used for someone else?
I don't think Aubameyang is suited to when he comes on and we've got to get a goal and the other team have got two banks of four. That's not Aubameyang's game. It's a game is when teams are attacking us and we break. Yeah. And that is what I don't understand. But there we go.
I guess one of the things that I brought up, about kind of our substitution is I thought that Martinelli brings us more energy on the field. And, the comment, one of the responses back was that he does it with pressing, but I feel like he does it with the attack as well. I think and it's more because of his movement than anything. I don't think Aubameyang gives us the movement that kind of breaks apart the defensive structure so that we can actually get something out of it. Once in a while, he'll get a free run on one of the sides and he'll be seen. But usually his movement is stagnant. He doesn't move enough for us to actually be able to get anything out of the game. And that's, all of this happened, and I sound like a broken record. All of this changed with the way the team has been running. Started when we put Martinelli on the field, and he basically went out there and gave 100% for the whole game. Almost got his leg broken off, right, by the goalkeeper. But, that's the energy that we want to see every time a player comes on the field. Emil Smith-Rowe gives us that. I think he's, like I think most of you said, he's tired. He can only do that for so much, and we don't need him to do that right now. We don't need him to play 30-plus games in a season and be able to give us the same effort that we saw in the first kind of 4 or 5 games that he was out there, because he's not there yet, and we don't need him to be. I mean, right? He's, 20? I mean, we've got time. If he's going to stay with the club, we've got time to get there. So we're leaning on these youngsters, and they need a break. Yeah, we don't have anybody to give them a break.
Yeah, well, especially when Arteta and Arsenal going that way to bring in Odegaard as well, who plays in that role. So you can rotate now. It's not that excuse where he can't rotate. And Arteta said himself, no one's had a pre-season, no one's had it in the world. And these young players can't go play 50 or 40, 50 games. That's so young when haven't had a full pre-season, so they do need that rest. And as you say, it does seem like because Smith-Rowe is so young, he does need that rest at the moment. He has hit this little point where he does have a couple of games where he needs a bench and come off the bench and things like that. But you've got Odegaard now. I mean, Andrew, you've been singing Smith-Rowe and Martinez's praises for months. So what are your thoughts on all this?
Excuse me. I don't think that Arteta will cut his nose off to spite his face. There's obviously some kind of reason he's not playing Martinelli much at the moment. I think he clearly does like Martinelli. He's really singing his praises. He must just be really wary about the injury that he's had, and he can't think that he's ready to play at the moment. And I think Odegaard is starting to play more minutes. He came on with half an hour to go yesterday. He came on with 10 minutes to go the first game. And I think he's getting him ready to start. So I think he will be able to rotate. But I just think it's. I honestly think if you think back to the Wolves game and the way we lost that game, completely wrongly, if we'd have won that Wolves game, would we be really het up as we are now? I don't think we would.
Of course not. No. As I said,
and look at the way we lost. Look at the way we lost that Wolves game, and we were playing absolutely fantastic football with that first half. Absolutely brilliant football. We could have easily been 3 or 4 ahead. We weren't.
That's the same reason why we lost this game. Though we lost them. We lost them the same way.
I know, but people have been saying on this show that we're not creating enough. We're not moving the ball quickly enough. We're doing sideways passes. I didn't see any of that against Wolves. And to be honest,
we didn't score 2 or 3 goals, right? We didn't score the 2 or 3 goals we needed to. We needed to jump. No. We had our best first half, and we scored 1 goal, because of Pepe. But we had about 5 or 6 chances, which you put half of those in, we go down a man. We just hold on, and we're up 2 to 3 goals, and I think we should be able to hold on and win that game. So, and this game we had 88 minutes to get 1 goal. 88 minutes to get 1 goal. Same, and we couldn't do it. I mean, that's a repeat of the first half where we had opportunities we didn't score, and we saw it again for 88 minutes.
Yeah, we had 88 minutes with 11 men on the pitch as well.
The point was trying to make. All that's correct. We didn't put enough chances away against Wolves, but we hit the post in the first minute as well. But we shouldn't have had that man sent off. That was completely incorrect. Everyone's got to agree that wasn't the correct decision. We had a goal, a penalty, and this man sent off, and we shouldn't have. There's no way we wouldn't have gone on to win that game if that hadn't have happened. Absolutely no way that we would have gone on to lose that game. So I just think that. The point I'm trying to make is as well that we're not playing as badly as people seem to be saying we are. We're not doing the fact the sideways passes and the real slow build-ups anymore because that didn't happen against Wolves. We were playing really slick, attacking, beautiful football.
Yeah, but yesterday,
and that
mate,
was only
we
the
were
last game.
awful yesterday. We just didn't do anything yesterday at all.
Exactly. That's what I said. That's the first thing I said. If we'd have won that Wolves game, do you think that yesterday's game, we will be absolutely so heads up?
Who knows? Can't tell.
Exactly. I basically don't think that we've got too much to worry about. We knew this season was going to be a real, completely sweep the house clean season, and we have done that in the transfer window, which I was absolutely delighted with. And I just don't think that it's as down as everyone's making it out to be at the moment. Personally, I'm not happy that we've lost 2 games, but I'm not too disconsolate about it, to be honest.
No, I was just looking at it as it stands, how far we are into the season now. And there have been games where we have looked a bit like not looked, but like the performances have been of the Emery sort of Wenger in Wenger's time. Them sort of performances, thinking that sideways backwards. We had them here and there. But as you said, Wolves, as I said at the beginning of this show, Wolves' first half was the best first half of football I've seen, not only under Arteta, but for years. And it was so pleasing to see. And it was so disheartening at the same time, as during the stream we said, that one incident that just derailed everything. And it sort of had, and the aftermath of it, sort of, you could say, sort of with the players, fed into yesterday, and they just, I don't know, it just weren't the same as we saw the other night. And obviously they've now got 7 days from today. In 7 days' time, we're playing Leeds.
I mean, and that's
so we've got a bit of a break now because obviously the FA Cup. So we've got a bit of a break to get ourselves together, get our heads straight, and go again. And Leeds is at home, so we've got a home advantage as well for once because they ain't played there for a few weeks. And just use that game now just to reassert ourselves and do what we did against Wolves, all the right things, and don't let the referee influence the game. And then literally, if you take our chances, the referee sends someone off. Like, say we're 3-4 up. They send like, for example, Gabriel off for exactly what they did to Louise. We can't complain because we're 4 minutes. All we have to do then is half time, get back in, make a sub, and just defend. So sit back and don't do what we did against Newcastle years ago and throw that away. Just do things and just do things like that. Then we can't complain because as long as we win, then obviously we can't then complain because the referee's not influencing the game. And
I think Russ agrees with me on this. I think Russ is probably more critical of the performance yesterday than of the Wolves game. If you wanted motivation to beat Aston Villa yesterday, just show them the penalty that was given away, rightly or wrongly. Let's not go into that. That should be enough for that team to go, right, we're going to show people how good we are. Did you do that yesterday? No. Was it because of the first minute we gave away a stupid goal? It might have been. But we didn't go from second to third gear yesterday when we should have been. We should have gone, come on, let's show people how really good we are.
I think it is
back in our shell.
That's the issue, because whenever we concede a goal, our heads go down. Whether it's the first minute or what, that was the first minute. Heads went down. Didn't create anything after that.
No,
we are a confidence team. We just don't seem to handle pressure very well. I don't know why, if it's the players or whether it comes down from the manager. I mean, we've got a good enough squad, lads. We should be higher than where we are in the league. We should be in the top half at least. We just don't handle pressure well. And we haven't done that for years, and we've had a cycle of players as well. Players keep coming in, but it's the same attitudes, the same things keep happening.
Yeah, and I think. Oh, sorry.
Do you know what the main issue is? I was going to say,
could I say something? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the main issue with the squad is the last time where we've seen even an era of dominance is when we've had a captain in the team. The problem is, if you look at the entire squad, can we really sit there and definitively say we'd be happy with any one of them captaining Arsenal? We've got a captain coming out who was complaining about a man that's training too hard. Like how can you really sit there and tell me that our players are going to sit? Because it's 2 minutes into the game. Heads should not be dropping that much. We've still got 80 to 93 minutes to get back into that game. If there's a captain, imagine Tony Adams, Vieira, even an RVP or a Nasri or a Fabregas were there, they would have told them, players, get the fuck up, let's get this game. We can do it still. You're not going to sit there with a Vieira and be like, oh, nah, this game's done, because he's just going to grip you up in the tunnel and absolutely give you one. And so that's the main, and I think what we need to realise, this isn't FIFA career mode, that we're just going to get unlimited funds funded through for players. We knew how big of a task Arteta had before the season started. I don't know why people are so surprised by the league form, because that was never our objective to go and compete for the league. Our objective is to somehow find our way back into Europe, and I don't think we were going to get that through the league. And the Martinelli situation and why he doesn't play him, we've got to remember the kid's 19 years old with the leg injury. He's still growing. There could be an era the doctor might be saying to him, look, he's still growing. His legs and bones are still trying to, medically, he may not be able to play. So we can't criticize too much, and we need to logically think. The problem that we have as a fan base, we're too emotional. And when anything goes wrong, we're like, we don't want to look at it objectively. We just want to be like, nah, it's Arteta's fault, or it's this person's fault, rather than looking at the whole story. And just thinking, sometimes we're not actually where we need to be yet. We're still rebuilding. Because no one can sit there and tell me the squad we're happy with the entire squad yet. Because we're not.
Of course,
so like always happy unless you're Man City or Chelsea. Man City or Chelsea, you're never going to be happy with your squad. You're not going to be. It's always a building process, even because we don't have money to throw about. We can't buy this player. If we want 4 or 5 players, we can't buy them. We have to sort of decide which 2 we can get maximum. We're not going to be able to get the 5 players we need.
That's a lucky window if we can get the 2, because Partey and Aouar were never going to happen in the same window. And then
exactly, you have to make priorities.
As a fan base, we wanted Upamecano. We got Gabriel. I'm not saying we're complaining about the signing now that we've seen Gabriel, but that's not the centre back we wanted as a fan base. But they've clearly gone out and said, reality is we can do with a 20-30 million pound defender in Gabriel, save the money we're going to get from spending an Upamecano, and go and get an Aouar or Partey, depending on which one we can get done. And for me, I'm starting to see a plan, at least in terms of the logical way that we're signing players. The problem with the Willian signing is, I'm guessing Arteta got told, you can either have Willian as a backup right wing or no one. Let's be honest, if we're a manager in that situation, we're going to take him.
Can I just say something about that as well? Who on this face of the planet could have predicted that Willian would turn out the way he has?
No one.
Yeah, no one. Because at Chelsea, he was winning leagues.
He was offered a 2-year contract with Chelsea. No one could have predicted he would be as shit as he has been. Not at all.
And
he's staying in London.
Well, I mean, I think they used him incorrectly, though. That's the problem. I don't think they used him the way they intended to, and I don't think Chelsea was going to use him the way we did.
Well, they probably got better players around him, to be honest.
He's not supposed to play this many games, even if we needed him to. Just like we wanted to. We just talked about Martinelli needing rest. William cannot give us game after game after game of top performances. That's just not going to happen.
He's only given us one.
You know what? We've asked too much of him already. He's played too many games, as far as I'm concerned. I mean,
exactly. I mean, when William was brought in, the club did say he's a good squad player to bring in and things like that. So even their initial thoughts were to be a squad player that you sparingly hit. But they haven't. They just literally up till whenever, I can't remember who it was, he was playing every game no matter what. Like
squad player on the third highest wages at the club.
That's when it became a bad signing, because I think everyone's seen it as, he's going to come in for like a cup game or a Carabao Cup game or an FA Cup game just to bring a bit of seniority into the squad. And in reality, what happened was we started to see him every single game. We were like, all right, now the signing isn't making any sense, because we thought it'd be.
Sorry, Karen. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, we'd have always thought that our starter would have been Pepe, or obviously Saka moving over to the right that we're seeing now.
Now we've seen Saka in that position. William could never get in that position, in my opinion, or any other position, the way I've seen him play recently. I mean, yesterday he nearly gave a goal away in only however long he was on for. But I'll just say that I've asked this question, not on this channel, but somewhere else, that how long is it till we turn round, and I think James has mentioned it kind of thing.
Yeah.
How long is it until we say, this is it now. These are Arteta's men. No excuses. because we're giving him a little bit of a wide berth because he's an ex-Arsenal man, yes. Because he's done very well for us in the first season in the Cup, yes.
But you know what?
We've always said he's actually got this absolute rubbish players and he's got to do a job. Well, when we actually say you've had the time, now
give him
your
time.
Arteta.
It's been 18 months. You know what? It's been 18 months. You know, it doesn't matter.
You got to remember COVID.
It doesn't matter.
Give everyone time.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if he's changed any players. If we had the same players from 18 months ago, he should already know what they can and cannot do and get the best out of them. So it doesn't really matter at this point. If this was within a year, I would say, you know what? Yeah, maybe he can't get. Maybe they're not going to do the things that he wants. But he's been here for a year and a half. He knows what they can and cannot do. He's asked them to do things they can't. They fail, and then we go, wow, what's going on here? His players aren't. He knows what they can do. He's asking them to do too much. They can't do it. William can't play all these games. Martinelli can't play all these games. The Middlesbrough Row can't play all these games. Saka needs rest. I mean, these are easy things to solve. These players need to rest, or they need to not be in those positions, right? Because they can't do it.
But Gary, the point I'm trying to make is not what he can do with the players. The point I'm trying to make is certain players he can't do anything with. He's actually pushed them to the level of what they could do. My point is, when do they say there's no excuse if a player plays badly because I inherited him and really he's not good enough? There's got to be a point where you say, no, it's your player. You've decided to keep him. You've had the chance to sell him or get rid of him or give him away with a packet of Kellogg's. There must be a time where you said, that's enough now. You've had your chance. You've had 2, 3, 4 transfer windows and you've kept that player. There must have been a reason why you've kept him.
We're already at that point.
There are players
that point,
that he trusts, isn't there?
They've cleaned out all the deadwood. We're already at that point. They've cleaned up a lot of players that are killing the squad in terms of monetary reasons. Now it's all about performances, and they're not giving it to us. So then they have to go. And some of them are going to leave just because of just the way the contracts are solved. But as I don't know if it's on this part or not, but Sam said we've got 15 players within 2 years of their contracts ending. This is a never-ending story. He's going to have to do it all over again. And the last thing we want is 5-6 players on their last year who aren't going to re-sign with us, and we're not going to pay them because that's what's coming.
That's why we signed this Dick Garlic guy, isn't it? Because he's gonna have a lot of work to do in the summer. We've got to sort of decide with Arteta. You got to think, right, Lacazette is coming up to 2 years or whatever he's got left.
This summer we have 1 year.
Do you want to keep him? Do you want to keep him, or do you want to sell him? I'll personally sell him. Get as much money as you can for him. You got Nketiah as well. Get rid of him as well. I mean, there's still there are players with value that we need to get right. Torreira as well, Guendouzi, those guys' contracts are coming up as well. We've got to look at start moving those guys on, and then you can sort of say, okay, Arteta, right, you got all the big pool of money now. So you and Edu, right, you've got to decide what positions you want, what positions you think you need to sort of invest in. I mean, I think we do need a new striker. We need a target man. Because suddenly we're just flooding the box with crosses and we've got no one in there. So if you want to play that way, get a bloody target man. Get Peter Crouch. Get someone like that. Anyone, just someone who can get their nut on it. It's simple when you look at it. You're banging loads of crosses in and there's no one there. So it's just like.
Well,
that's because Lacazette's playing right back like he did against Wolves yesterday.
Yeah, but he's not going to get on. He's not going to get on a cross, is he? And neither is Aubameyang. So it's just what's the point?
The sheer irony is we had a target man, and all we did was play it across the floor most of the time. Every now and then we cross it in. The second we get rid of him, we'll just cross.
Yeah, well, you know what? We did that with him. We would put crosses in as soon as he came out the game, but for the whole game he was in there, we would never even put a cross in. And it's like, what in the world is going on with this team?
But didn't Arteta say in one of his, I don't remember whether it was a pre-match or post-match or whatever it was, but he said tactically that's something he's changed. He wants us to cross the ball as much as possible.
Because he says the bloody ball.
Because he says when you're crossing the ball, you're creating chances. That's what he said. So he wants to create as many chances as possible because according to him, every cross is a chance he's creating. So, but then you look at, like you say, you look at the actual reality of it. Well, you're crossing to no one. You're crossing to a tall opposition defender. That's what you're doing.
Where's Nicholas Bentner when we need him? Get him back.
Trouble is, it's not only, first of all, when the crosses come in, we have one man in the box. Number two, when the crosses come in, the guy that's in the box is not moving. He's stationary.
He's 5'8" as well.
Right. Number three,
against 6'3" defenders.
If it's Aubameyang, he doesn't want to hit the ball.
Yeah.
He ducks out.
Exactly.
It's really, there's no movement, there's no intensity. I mean, it makes any team we play, their centre halves look like Beckenbauer. All of them.
Diego Costa's on a free.
Decent forward line. You see how bad these centre halves really are.
Yeah.
We make
Diego Costa's on a free.
You know, Arteta cannot handle Diego Costa.
No,
that's not going to happen.
I'm only joking, guys.
Arteta would, he'd be crying every night if he had Diego Costa to deal with every day. There's no way that's going to work. I mean, the crosses in the box. Sorry, Ryan.
10 years ago, Diego Costa from 10 years ago, I would have liked.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. But I was going to say, the one strike we haven't sort of touched on yet could be that target man we're looking for. Maybe, don't know. We've not seen enough of him to say if he is or not. Is Balogun. We don't know.
Yeah, but that's a catch-22, isn't it? That's a catch. Who's going to blink first?
Why did you bring him up?
He's not a header of a ball either. He can hold
he's
up
not
the
a
ball.
target man. You can tell
He can hold up the ball and he can score goals, but he can't head the ball. I don't think. He's not like that.
I mean, the crosses that we talk about, or Arteta talks about, to me are no different than when Leno kicks the ball long. You might as well just hand the ball to the other team and say, "All right, let's play defense," because we are never in. I don't know who he's kicking it to, or if the players aren't running into the spaces that they're supposed to. But 9 times out of 10, it's coming back, right? So why are we doing that?
Yeah,
the only person that I've seen kick a long ball consistently is Partey, right? He sees somebody open on the wing, ball's gone right at their feet. The only guy I've seen it be able to do that consistently. Other than that, everybody else, I guess we play out the back, even though I hated it at first. I do understand it a lot more now, but, we waste a lot of kicks, all right? We waste it with the crosses and we waste it with the long goal kicks, the free kicks from the goalie. They're just a waste to me. And we need all the opportunities to score, and when we kick crosses like that, they're a waste. When we kick these long balls, they're a waste. We can't waste any of our opportunities. We got to take them as best we can, and that's why we are where we are right now. I think it's because we're wasters. We waste a lot of opportunities, extra touches, long passes, all of it.
This is another name James mentioned in the chat again. Mola, who got we bought back in the summer.
He's good.
Yeah, been banned from Sweden. Literally,
18.
I think 18 going on 19. Yeah, so it's very young to put a lot of pressure on him, but it's another option we can sort of use and bring him in. But we can still go out and sign an experienced target man that can learn that the likes of Mola can learn off of and develop themselves. So he's not putting that too much pressure on them because. Again, 18, 19, that's a lot to ask to put on a player of that age. Go, you're a first choice striker now for Arsenal. Off you go.
Well, that's the problem, right? We've got a good academy with players in their 16 to 21 years old that are worthy of maybe getting an opportunity to play for Arsenal. We don't have what is this?
That woman saying we'll never achieve top 4 with Arteta in charge. He's a reactive and not proactive. Only injuries forced him into playing Smith Rowe, which you can look at and say that's true because it did. That's how it came about because that's how we see it.
I've been saying every time I look at our run, I always say to myself, we've had a good run, but is this actually Arteta's plan? Is this actually what he planned? He saw Middlesbrough Road Martinelli playing, and he said, you know what? I can see something good here. Maybe we should try it because we're missing it in our senior team. And then he went and tried it. But we're not. I don't think any of us are 100% sure that that's actually the case. We all feel like he just was forced into it.
He was,
and he still doesn't get it. He still doesn't get it. He was forced into it. It works. So now he knows what maybe the plan should be going forward.
It didn't work yesterday.
Just to add on that, though, obviously it's come out when Smith Rowe started playing that he was actually riddled with injuries and he was actually carrying a knock, hence why he was never given an opportunity earlier. So I don't think Arteta got lucky with the injuries. I just think he wants to play players when he knows he's got long enough to give them an opportunity. Because what you don't want to do is bring Smith Rowe in the next game he's injured, because then everything that you might have worked towards is now ruined. So it's a catch. I don't know, because we don't really know enough about the academy players and their injuries on the mainstream to really make a judgment on whether what Arteta's saying is true or whether he's just backing his own sort of to protect himself.
We're not. I mean, Partey is exhibit A of what happens when you do force him. We're not going to get a complete game from him.
Yeah, he got pushed on. Yeah.
I don't know when we're going to see 90 minutes from Partey. The way the first 60 minutes, yes, but after that, I don't know when we're going to get to see that, unless, like you said, he gets the rest and that he needs to get to the form that we need, where he can play week in, week out, 90 minutes on a trot, right?
Gary, we've got to sacrifice him. We've got to just say, look, don't play until you're ready. Make sure you're 100%, because this will make long-term injury.
But then he takes him off, and then he brings Willian on, and you're thinking,
well, you're better off taking him off, not bringing anyone else on. I agree.
But you may as well, right? The obvious substitute yesterday was Ceballos, wasn't it? It was easy. You take Partey out, you put Ceballos in. At least it gives you a bit of cohesion. Why the hell you bring Willian on? I got no idea.
No,
clearly turns into R9 Ronaldo and Ronaldinho in training.
I mean, and then you go with the last one, right? You bring, you take Cedric off, and then you move Saka back. What if you can do that?
I said that we should be doing that, because for me, I think we need to sacrifice him being further up just to bring in a different dynamic. The problem with Arsenal right now is we're too predictable. Now that Arteta's found this winning formula, he's going to stick to it. And the problem that you have is it's easy to read what we're going to do. And it's not going to take a lot to counteract what we're doing. And then when
Martinelli's a different dynamic, though.
Exactly.
Martinelli, you don't know what he's going to do.
That's the problem. It's that the problem that we have is we're not changing enough to make answer questions. We're just giving them the answer. Here you go. We're just going to cross at you. If you can stop that, brilliant. You've stopped us. We've not got the problem that we have is when we had Giroud, we could bring him on to bring a whole different dynamic to the team. Those crosses would have worked. For me, I think Martinelli should have come up on top just to bring a different dynamic to the front, because what he would offer is pace rather than power, and that would have completely changed. And Aston Villa would have had to change their tactics to now suit the agenda of playing against Martinelli, because we would have been playing balls through the back of them, and that's the problem. It's not changing enough.
Yep.
Do you think Odegaard should have come in for Smith Rowe?
I said it all along. I said Martin Odegaard should have played this game. I said, yes, the United game you can understand Smith Rowe playing, but I said Wolves, Martin Odegaard should be given the opportunity and Smith Rowe should be rested. The problem, it's obvious he's jaded. You can clearly see he's not fit enough to play right now.
ESI should not have played the whole match yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, James in the chat is also saying we just need someone who likes to be in the box and is lethal in the box. If we sell Lacazette in the summer, he says, I'd go to Southampton and make them sell us things. Who is a target man? It didn't work out at Liverpool. That's injury. That's nothing. But since he's left Liverpool and gone to Southampton, and the injuries haven't been.
You just put there's the Achilles heel, though. You just said injuries. He's not coming to Arsenal and starting out and playing his first game without an injury.
He's going to get injured within about 3 days of joining.
He's going to sign the contract, get a paper cut. It gets infected, and he's out for a month. I mean, that's.
Partey was an injury to Arsenal. Like that's our look.
Yeah, Cheddar's a Liverpool fan. Coming on to cheer himself up after earlier on, obviously. Things are worse. Trust me, Cheddar.
The thing is, though, you say that, but it's like, even though under different managers, the injury record's still the same. Players still come in, and they still get injured within like a couple of weeks, and then they're out for months. And that is the same. That's been the same for years.
Yeah, I've
you know what? We're the only ones that see that. Everybody at Arsenal probably doesn't see that for whatever reason. because we're seeing it, but they are not. I mean,
this is where, for me, this is where it falls.
And his training sessions under different managers as well.
Yeah, well, this is where, for me, it falls on the owner because he's been here for the longevity. He's seen over 3 managers now. Obviously, he inherited Wenger, he's brought in Emery, he's had Mikel, and as you said, the same thing. Exactly, they're having the same issue with an injury problem. There's something clearly not right. And as an owner, it's his money is going to waste here. He's not.
Yeah.
He's not doing what you'd think he would do.
Our owner is he's probably at the Super Bowl right now. He probably doesn't. He's got a lot of other things to deal with. He doesn't have time for this Arsenal thing. What is this Arsenal? I don't even know. Arsenal, there's no way he's.
I went to that one time when Wenger left. Is that my investment you're talking about? I don't even think he knows he's investing in the club.
Well, literally, that's the thing. I was at that last Arsene Wenger's last home game, and he was there. Obviously, turned up for it. And he turned up. The idiots that put him on the big screen, and and knowing the situation, they're not stupid. They know there's a clear friction between us, the fan base, and the owner, because they're not happy with him. And they put him on the big screen on Wenger's last thing. So as Wenger's talking, he appears on the screen, and then suddenly there's jeers and boos, and you're like, you fucking idiots.
But he was wearing. You got to admit, Ryan, he was wearing the other team's colours, wasn't he? The owner.
He was for that in the Burnley kit and everything. He turned up the Burnley.
He forgot what colours we played.
Yeah, he didn't know what shirt we were wearing, did he?
No, that's right.
Andrew, by the way, sends his apologies as well. By the way, Russell, that's no problem at all. No, you're not feeling too well, so that's fine. We'll get you back on.
Yeah, big up Andrew.
Yeah, if you haven't already, do go and subscribe to his channel as well.
Arsenal playing red.
What? What's this?
Louis Ramsdale or whatever they.
Oh dear. Also, Alex
he'll change the colours next. You know what I mean? Colorado Rapids.
Well, he'll make it blue and yellow like the Rams, so he doesn't have to spend extra on. You won't have to decide, what color team he's talking about, because they all have the same color.
He'll change the names as well. We'll become the London Rams. So
who's to say
the same stuff?
They'll probably move us to Birmingham.
Who's to say we're going to be based in London?
Yeah, exactly.
Dubai.
Move us to
America.
The
Dubai Rams.
No, the Dubai Devils.
Dubai Devils.
Oh,
Dubai Dinlows.
Also, Alex in the chat as well, saying, I think I need to start covering other football teams on my channel from a different perspective, because it's because for him, he's just saying, repeating the same thing all of a sudden. It's just like, I mean, big up Tony Turner in the chat as well, saying injuries force Arteta's hands. We always said. John Wayne joined us again.
Hello, Pilgrim.
Get on your saddle and drink your milk.
Oh dear.
John Wayne, just to change the subject, but lighten it up a bit. Do you remember he was in a film to do with the Roman times, right? And Jesus and all
cowboy,
that.
wasn't he?
He wasn't known as a cowboy. Of course he wasn't.
Yeah.
In one, he played a Roman centurion. He was on a horse, and there was Jesus Christ on the cross. And this is true. It's the last scene of the film. And he looked down and he went, surely that must be the Son of God. It's supposed to be a Roman.
So cheesy, those films, aren't they? They're brilliant.
Oh dear.
True Grit. What a favourite.
Oh dear. Yeah. Also, Ryan talk about what packing off Guendouzi, Saliba, and possibly Balogun, because Balogun hasn't signed a pre-contract with anyone yet. He's still in negotiations with us. He hasn't. We've been told. Well, this is what we're being told anyway, that he hasn't actually agreed anything with any other club in Europe when he had the opportunity last month. So
I think he wants to stay.
Now's a prime chance to use him. No, now's a prime chance to use him. Right, Aubameyang's dead, Willian's dead, Nketiah's no good.
Yeah.
Right. You want to maybe give Pepe a bit of a rest, Martinelli a bit of a rest. So Balogun, bring him on.
This is what
Sam, you're talking too much sense. That's not what we're all about here at Arsenal.
This is Arsenal. Why would we do something that makes sense?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? I would not be opposed to them just throwing Gabriel up top. Just put a centre back up top. Honestly,
I tell you what,
Willian
all those
as number
crosses
10,
coming in, You've missed the point, gentlemen. With all those crosses coming in, Runarsson will be brilliant up top. So top,
Stand it.
You've all missed the point.
He's like Dracula. He doesn't like crosses.
Oh, dear. But in terms of
Bloody
what's changed about Balogun, it's sort of been saying for fucking months now. Literally, his main thing is, I want to be shown that you have faith in me, that you will give me game time, because he doesn't want to sign a long-term contract.
Right? He's hungry.
Yeah, he doesn't want to sign a long-term contract with us or anyone, and then be promised it on word, but not being physically shown it. He wants to be physically shown by Mikel and the club that they will give him the game time. That's all he wants to put.
Can I just say something? He wants game time to show how much we love him, or the club loves him. Open brackets, put money in the middle, close brackets. It's about money as well. Don't give me all that time. He wants love about you love.
But also the agent as well. Agent pays as well.
All right.
Yeah. You know what? Arsenal should just lie. I mean, they did that. It seemed like they did that to Saka, right? He signed, and then we never saw him. We saw him like one game, and we never saw him again. I know there was probably an injury in there, but we should know. I mean, the team should know what's best for the youngsters when they come up. And you know, even if he came in and they signed him, he's not probably going to play that often, anyways, right? Even if he was, you know, because we think of him as the future, anyways, and that's 3 to 5 years from now where we expect him to be at his peak, anyway. So, you know,
Got one more thing.
Yeah.
Like Columbo says, just one more thing. On the Balogun issue, this is a worry I've got. Right? This is a worry.
Don't flash your Mac.
Right.
Sit down.
Listen, this is the worry I've got. This Balogun, and we don't know how good he is, and hopefully he's fantastic, right? But he hasn't made it yet, He's a youngster. Most youngsters will die for their club. If this kid and his agent is giving us this trouble now, when he's 18, what's he going to be like when he's on a big contract at 22, 3? And all of a sudden, the agent starts knocking on our door again, and he doesn't show the determination we want him to show. I've got a big worry about this.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, it could turn all south for us. All of a sudden, we give him £100,000 a week now when he hasn't kicked the ball for the first team. We put him on a big contract, low lovey-dovey, and all of a sudden, he loses his will to play for the Arsenal, because all of a sudden, someone's going to offer him £150,000 a week or £200,000 a week 1 year down the line. And you know you can't keep players that don't want to play for you. So if it's causing us, normally, when kids come through the academy, they will die for the first team. They will die to put that shirt on to play for the Arsenal for the first time and hopefully go on from that. Like the Sakas of this world, the Willocks, who's I don't particularly think he's marvellous, but he gives everything. I'm talking about normally youngsters coming through will die for the shirt. This kid is doing us a favour. And I don't care how good he might be. If you want to do us a favour, you're obviously, you're not going to give us 100%, and therefore your performances can't be that good. So I don't think it'd be a great miss. They've got to get it sorted out. They should tomorrow, whenever, go, do you want to play for us? Yes or no? This is what do you want? And get it done in 24 hours. Don't keep it going on and on. Because like I say, the worry is with his agent and him, he hasn't kicked the ball and he's kicking up a fuss.
You're right, Melvin, but something slightly different, right? Saliba, right? He's playing well in France, but he's going to the press after every game, slagging off Arsenal.
That's wrong. Yeah.
I don't want him at Arsenal anymore. I don't want him. I've never seen a boy kick a ball for us. I don't want him. I'm fed up with him. It's another thing with agents and stuff. He's not getting the right sort of guidance or whatever you call it. But I mean, every time I see this kid, he is slagging us off. I don't want him here. I
feel like the team is creating this situation as much as the players are jumping on board and actually going with it. I mean, I think the team is doing this. Balogun should already have had a contract by now, or he should have been gone, right? He should. Everybody before the start of this season, everybody said Balogun. We need to decide what we're going to do with him. Either he's staying, or he's going out on loan, or he's gone, right? They sat on their hands, right, basically, and they created this monster, right? Saliba, I feel like he should be playing for Arsenal. He wants to play. He's out there playing. He's just as good as any of our second or third, center backs that we have on the team to get some playing time, right? So he should have been playing. You know, they made all this noise about, you know, all this, you know, I mean, his family situation, which is definitely tough. But I think in the end of the day, he wanted to play football, right? He wanted to play football, and they screwed that up when they didn't put him on the Europa League squad. So Arsenal is creating this mess, and the players are watching other players get theirs, right? And so they're like, you know what? If he's getting his, then I want mine as well, right? I'm seeing all these players making 100,000 a week, and they're terrible. They're bad, right? I want to get mine too. And, you know, I don't agree with that, but I think that's what they're seeing. But they're creating this situation. You know, they're creating it. And maybe Balogun hopefully is the last one to go through this from the academy. Like where, you know, either not on, he should have been out on loan 2 years ago. If this is what we're seeing, you know, he has his performances have been quality enough that if they saw anything like this beforehand, he should have been out on loan by now, right? Playing for a couple of years, and then people going, "Oh, look at this Balogun kid," you know, he's an Arsenal player. I bet they want him to come back and play for them, right? But no, he's not getting any time. He's sitting twiddling his thumb basically, and we're paying for it now. And like I said, hopefully this is the last time, and hopefully we don't have to go through this again. And hopefully they learn their lesson. You can't. You know, this is money out the door again, right? There's that big chart about all the players that come in. We spend 40 million on them and they walk away for nothing. Balogun, we spent whatever amount of money we spent on him, and he's going to walk away for nothing.
But yeah,
I mean, it's not
just to say. Just to say, what we don't want to do with Balogun is set a precedence. What we did with Ozil, we set a precedence to the rest of the team that you can come and bully us for the amount you want. Because we sold Sanchez, the fans were on the back of the owners saying, well, you can't lose them both. So they went and gave Ozil a big contract, whether it was warranted or not, but we set a precedence that let Ramsey go, that then Aubameyang then bullied the club to say, look, I want the money. If you don't give me the money, I'm going. What we don't want to do is get bullied by Balogun, who's not played a minute of Premier League football and is demanding 100k a week. That, to me, just shows his mentality. And that mentality will not get him far. We've seen bigger players with bigger downfalls. You know, we look at Ravel Morrison at Manchester United. He had more talent than Pogba, and look at his downfall due to his greed and his mentality. And that's simply what, you know, I've got to say on the matter, because I don't want to see him get given something, because then you're going to see all these players come up and be like, Emil Smith-Rowe agreed to a 45k contract. He deserves more than that. Saka agreed to a lesser contract than 100k. He deserves more than that. So why are we going to give Balogun, someone that's an unproven talent? We don't know. He could come and be an Eddie Nketiah. We don't know anything.
I mean, he hasn't kicked the ball in the Premier League yet, so.
Yeah, exactly. Russ, where I would slightly differ from what you've said with the Saliba and the Balogun situation. Saliba's making mistakes, and I can't defend that. But Balogun has come through the Arsenal academy. He should know
That's why I said, it was different. That's what I meant.
Yeah. That's right.
He did say about the agents and all that. Maybe the agents.
But that's
that's all right. No, it's fine. No, that's why I said it was slightly different. But Saliba's, he hasn't come through the academy, but both of those guys are obviously not getting the right guidance. They are going out and they are saying the wrong things. I mean, all right. I mean, Balogun was tweeting stuff. I've scored a hat trick yesterday. Arsenal didn't score or whatever, and then Saliba's coming out after every single game. He's had a good one and saying, Arsenal didn't treat me well. Yeah, that's not helping anyone at the end of the day. I mean, that's why I said Saliba. I don't care if he comes back. I really don't care. For me, he's the boat sail.
I think there's a player there. Russ.
Yeah,
I think
probably.
There's a player there.
Probably.
If we look at the top sort of young players today, what do they all have in common? They're not on big money. Look at Foden at City. City have got unlimited funds, and he's not getting paid top money. You look at Saka, not on top money. You look at Ansu Fati at Barcelona, not on big money. You even look at the likes of like Pedri and Martin Odegaard, all not on big money. What that shows is they want to establish themselves as players because they know the money will come in the future. They will be financially secure once they become the players they want to be.
If they're good enough, they get paid. Don't worry. Exactly.
Yeah, and also
and those teams are in control of the situation. They know how they are managing their players' contracts correctly, right?
Yeah, and
Foden was not worrying about coming to the end of his contract when he was sitting last year. I mean, I thought he should have played more, but they knew what they were doing, of course, and they brought him on when they needed to, and now he's a constant, part of their rotation every week because they have a plan and they could protect their players' value. The reason why Balogun is a loss in player value that we just did, regardless of whether we sell him or pick him up and sell him, he's already lost some value, and that's because the team let that happen, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
we have a history of overpaying youth players. That's something we've done for a long time because we go out and we've had a global network, right, of looking at youth academies all over the world. And, we've been good at getting hold of, some of the top talent. And the way we get hold of a lot of the top talents, we pay them really, really well. And we give them really, really good perks. And we've been apparently, it came through in that analysis Swiss Ramble did. I don't know if you guys are aware of Swiss Ramble. He does all the football financial analysis, really good. And it came through there that what we're paying in the youth system is ridiculous. We're paying well above everyone else, So the guys are really well paid in the youth system, and Balogun might be a product of that. He's already well paid, and he wants his new contract now, his real first proper professional contract. He probably wants more than what he deserves, probably. With an
problem is
his agent sounds like a bit of an arsehole too. To be honest, he's probably wanting more as well.
The problem is we pay them this money to keep them, and you're taking a risk with these young kids because they're either going to make it or they're not. And if they don't make it, then you're stuck with them on 25k a week, and they're not doing anything, and they'll just leave on a free at the end of the day or whatever. It's give and take. You can see why if you see someone with potential, it's fine. You say we really, really want to keep this kid. We really, really want to keep, but it's 50-50 whether he's going to make it or not.
It's like an analogy,
and you protect yourself when you manage their contracts correctly, right? Yeah. If they're youth players, it should be easy. I think 2 years? I think is the contract situation for the youth, right? You're always upping them 2 years especially if you see potential, you put them out on loan. Like I said, we created this monster, and we can't kill it because we're not in control anymore. That player is in control, and the only thing he wants is right now. The only thing he wants, like you said, is his money because he doesn't care about playing time, right?
I think he wants a chance. Balogun wants a chance. He wants to play. He physically wants to play.
Yeah. But he wants his contract first, so he wants his money first.
Yeah, exactly.
Melvin had an analogy.
Analogy. It's probably not a great one coming from me, but it's like when you get a really. It's like we are second rate. We're making ourselves to be second rate. It's like we think we're an ugly geezer, and we've got to spend more on the bird to go out with her. That's exactly what we're like. We shouldn't have to be like that at all. We have to pay more for it. I take you to Savoy for lunch rather than pictures because otherwise you won't go out with me. And we think, oh, look, I'm with a lovely girl. The only reason is because you're spending more money, not that you're doing the right things. And that's what we are at the moment. And James is like we said in the last sentence. That's what a smart club does. We ain't smart. It's quite obvious. We ain't.
Quick kiss behind the bike sheds, Melvin?
Yeah, I was about to say, literally, James, the chat again.
Penny farthings in my day, don't mind.
I was just say, James has been really active in the chat, and he's saying, as you said, Melvin, when Sheffield United came in for Balogun back in the summer, we sort of penned him down to the deal back then, loaned him to Sheffield United. That's what a smart club does. He then goes on to say as well, let him play Premier League for a year. If he does well, comes back to us experienced and a better player, or if we want to sell him to Sheffield, if Sheffield wanted to buy him or another Premier League club, they could. And we make some money out of it either way.
It's a win-win, isn't it?
All those things make sense, and we've seen it with our current players out on loan that we didn't want to do that. In Kedia, somebody wanted him, we didn't do that. Maitland-Niles, same thing. Somebody wanted him, we said no. And now we're loaning them out 6 months later after they were we could have got a lot more money for them, and we devalued them. Right, we devalued them when we brought them back when they were, and now when a team looks at them in Kedia and Ainsley, they're gonna lowball us now because they just seen what happens, right?
Yeah.
If it was 10-15, if it was 15-20 for one of those players, now it's 10-15 now.
We've shown our hand is what the issue is. We've shown our hand. We can't even bluff that we want to keep them. And that's what Arsenal does.
It's like when Liverpool Liverpool sold Ryan Brewster to Sheffield United for 20 odd million. He only played about 5 or 6 games for him.
Yeah, Jordan Ibe was 40 million.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, when they sold him to Sheffield United...
We did Iwobi, but that was it. That's the only one we've got any money for.
One for the season.
23 million, when Liverpool sold him to Sheffield United for 23 million, I heard rumours the FBI were going to get involved. They couldn't believe it.
We're ringing Mulder and Scully again, aren't we?
I just, you know, so be careful. Be careful, gentlemen. But, you know what? We could have. I remember in the summer listening. I was going for one of my walks, listening to pod. I love listening to pods, as you may know, and talking about all the pros and cons of players, and they were going through the squad. And in my mind, I was listening to what clubs might be bidding for our players. I couldn't believe it. I thought, if they're bidding for these players, this price, sell them, shut your eyes, don't get emotionally tied to these players, just sell them, because they are not good enough, you know? And you're talking, you would have raised a lot of money. And it's come back to bite us on the bum, because now, as you say,
we're not playing for
what's the real price? You know, what it happened, I know that people have said he's played well, and I'm not his greatest fan. Holding, as an example. And you might have been able to sell him. I think he was going to go out on loan, though, in all fairness. But if he's not good enough to play in the first team, then why did we not loan him? Because we're not going to get, you know, I don't want to have these players playing. I mean, I've been quite critical of him the last few games as well. I thought even yesterday, it wasn't his fault necessarily, the goal, but where was he for the one person to mark in the box? He was nowhere, turning his back, hit his legs and went in. So Bellerin.
I've been calling Holding out all the time, because he's been a bystander for
Gary.
He's been.
He is better than because he's 80.
He's been watching these disasters over and over again. He watched the disaster in the Spurs game. He watched the disaster in the Wolves game. He watched the disaster just yesterday. He's right there with a front row ticket for everything, and he could actually. It's not his mistake, but he could actually make a difference. You know,
he could prevent the actual
get out the way.
He could erase a mistake. And that's what I'm looking for. One time, if he erases one mistake,
he shouldn't have turned his back on it. He should have just
faced up.
Faced up to it.
In my opinion, the geezer who scored the goal, he was like off of him. He had one job: block the geezer. No, he's 2 yards away. Oh, then it's too late. He does it every time.
About 2 minutes. It's like Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Why the hell did we keep him in the summer when we could have sold him for 20 odd million? Why did we keep him?
I think the reason we kept him was because of his performances and left back, and obviously the FA Cup final and everything. Arteta might have sat there and thought, okay, he can cover a few positions if we get those injuries. And then when he came back and when he has had his opportunities, he hasn't taken them. I always say he looks like a player who's had a spliff and then played the game. He's too relaxed. There's no urgency in his play. But I do think the reason is because of how crucial it was for us to win an FA Cup.
But we didn't build on that. You're right. They looked at that. They looked at what they saw last year, and they got to build on it, and they didn't build on it at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's on the coaching staff, right? You can sit down with a player. You say, "I looked at you in the final of the FA Cup, and this is one of the things you did really well for us. All right, let's build on that, right?"
But look, you could have got rid of him, and we could have got an Alwar or someone. We could have done that deal. Get rid of him.
Well, even Bellerin, I think, what was it, PSG back in the summer as well? They actually wanted to buy for 25, 30 million for him. And we went, no, we don't need it. And what's he done?
Well, it's not that, guys. It's the personal terms. The players can't agree personal terms. Because they're on so much money.
I think at PSG, I think he'd get a bit more.
PSG would have been all right,
maybe if they'd have thought he was worth that much, maybe. But the problem we couldn't get rid of we've been trying to get rid of Ozil for 2 transfer windows and
wages,
and the same with
that's slightly different. Yeah,
the same with Mustafi as well. Mustafi, we had agreed.
That had nothing to do with the money, though. It had to do with the fact that I could get, even if we try to sell them for $5, £5.
We've had the same issue. We've had the same issue with several players. We agree a transfer fee with the club with Mustafi last summer. Apparently, we had agreed a transfer fee, a very low transfer fee, because he's not worth a lot of money. but we agreed a transfer fee with Lazio. Apparently, a deal was lined up with Lazio, but they couldn't agree personal terms. They couldn't agree. The agent and Mustafi wouldn't go down to the wages they were offering, and that's because we've been paying these guys too much money.
Yeah.
And that's again, that's another ownership thing where he's allowed the recruitment at the time, the Ivan Gazidis and whatever who was in charge of it at the time, to throw that sort of money, throw that sort of money at the problem, and think it'll fix it like that. And I'm like,
and now we end up terminating the contracts. You have to pay them, pay them to go.
That's all well and good. That's all well and good. Think we got rid of that. You know, Gazidis has gone. Wenger's gone, we're not overpaying for players. Then I'll raise your Willian and I'll raise your Aubameyang.
Yeah. We could potentially with Willian, we could potentially have another, Ozil situation. And the same with Aubameyang. Both of them. Could be no Ozil situations.
And they're two players with no resale value either.
Willian's making 180k a week, 180k a week, something like that. Who's going to give him that? No one.
Arsenal. That's
the irony. The sheer irony.
We're signing an extension now. But like, here you go.
There you go. James in chat says we had to use a government loan. Yeah. We had to use government loan money to get Ozil out the bloody door. That's how bad things got there.
I don't think you're allowed to do that. I know they probably might have done, but legally you're not supposed to do that. Two different businesses. One is transfer, one is running the company.
Yeah, I thought.
I think what they've done is paid it, but then took the loan to offset what they're going to end up using.
I thought they took a bank loan out from one of the banks over here, literally
operating costs.
To cover it and sort of go like, there we haven't.
It all goes in the same black hole anyway. It all goes into the same black hole.
All goes into building an American stadium, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, that as well. Don't forget that. Yeah, can't forget that multi-million
pound relocation fee for Arsenal as well. Don't forget.
Yeah, it's a relocation. It's only a 3-month loan anyway, so the interest on it's not very much. So
the thing is, when he took over from, I think Gary much correct me if I'm wrong, but when he took over from the actual Ramsden now in St. Louis. Literally the fans there at the time. Then St. Louis fans themselves in St. Louis were kicking off. We were about saying Kroenke having these things, like saying these things about him, like putting him up on certain things. And what did Jalen do? Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to LA.
You, Sam, you mentioned Swiss. That company, Swiss. What's it called? Swiss.
He's on Twitter guy. He calls himself Swiss Ramble.
I think he's the one that did a pod on what Arsenal, when they did the stadium, how badly they did the finances. Absolutely opened my eyes. I could not believe what I was listening to.
It's a shambles, complete shambles way we
absolute shambles. Have you listened to it, Ryan?
Haven't yet, but I've heard quotes come out from it.
It's terrible. The details about how we finance our stadium. We know why we went through 10 barren years, basically.
Yeah.
I mean,
we should have had it paid off for now. We should have had it paid off.
They didn't put any of their own money into it.
No.
Any of their own money. It was all leveraged on bank loans that with high interest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We were being treated like if you would go to a loan shark on the corner of the street.
Yeah,
we'd done a deal with them. It was pathetic. And they had all stipulations. I mean, I won't go into it because I can't remember it all. But you've got to listen to it to just go, wow.
Yeah, because basically,
why we're in the mess we're in.
Just to say very quickly where the big mistakes were made were basically when you're financing a new stadium. What happens is the owner, especially a very rich owner like ours, with billions in the bank, they will put down a large down payment to help leverage off some of the cost of the loan. They'll put some of their own money into it, basically. But what Kroenke did, and I mean what Arsenal did, because it was before Kroenke.
This is one thing we can't blame Kroenke for.
But what they did, we still had owners with billions, and instead of putting in any of their own money to leverage some of the deal, they put none of their money in, borrowed it all off of on very high finance deals. Because they could loan more money basically to get those deals, and it was just all put on credit, and the repayments with that interest was so much that was hurting our operating, costs so much. Our was going into our revenue that was basically why we couldn't have a proper transfer budget for the first 10 years.
I mean, that's what the rich do, though, right? They don't want to spend it. They don't spend their own money.
The whole self-sustaining model and all that with Kroenke and everything. He comes in and says no self-sustaining.
Yeah, the rich never they never use their own money, and they always take losses, right? At the end of the day, they are in the red for some reason, but they're a billionaire. It's good for their business, but us little people don't know what that means.
It's true. You go to the bank, want to borrow 100 quid, you've got no chance. Another person, if you go to the bank, want to borrow a trillion, come this way, sir. Like that at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
And as we sort of agreed on just briefly there, this is one thing we can't actually have a go at Stanford because he wasn't at the club at all. This does fall on the likes of Hillwood, David Dean.
You know what? That was a good resume builder. He saw that and he said, "You know what? I think these guys got some. I like how they do their business. I could do some of that too." And he comes in and does his own thing.
And maybe this is why David Dean did what he did in the sense of so obviously with Chelsea, no one knew what was going to go on there because obviously our plan for the stadium was before he even came in at Chelsea. But obviously this is maybe why David Dean went and sought out obviously found two people in Usmanov and Stan himself because he realised we fucked up. We need actual more investment in this club to get us keep us afloat. Keep us afloat, but competitive and things like that.
Yeah, but you might be right, Ryan. But unless I've got it wrong, our owner hasn't actually put any money in. Apart from the party.
No, I think that's because
it's not as if we had an Abramovich coming in.
This is what I'm saying because he brought in, as I'm saying, he brought in Stan and Usmanov. But obviously, in the blind panic, he didn't do his research into these people, i.e. Stan obviously being the main person because he took over the body now. If he'd done his research and not panicked, maybe we don't know what got the ins and outs of what happened there. We wouldn't have Stan in this club. He wouldn't be the majority shareholder. Maybe if he done, it could be. We don't know. Maybe going by what you said, he maybe just blindly panicked as like the face of Arsenal at the time and thought, "Fuck, we need to sort this mess out." I need to go out and didn't actually go and research the people.
What was to take us to the next level, basically, because Peter Hillwood and that consortium and everything, that board and everything, they didn't have the amount of money, that was needed to take us to the next level. And so he was looking at bringing in, new investment. And that's where Usmanov and Kroenke came in. And Usmanov was ambitious.
Yeah,
and wanted to spend loads of money on rehauling everything, giving us, just a blank checkbook really to go and buy the players we want. But because Abramovich had happened just before, Usmanov had a really bad reputation. The media, everyone hated him because they thought he was a new Abramovich. We don't want a new Abramovich, thank you very much.
What was wrong with Abramovich, Sam?
Yes, we do. We want one.
Because he had a very he'd done a lot of shady dealings back in Russia to get his oil money.
It's only blood money.
I'm just saying,
a washing machine is fine.
There's a lot of shady dealings because Abramovich was so widely hated with what he did with Chelsea and how he got his money in Russia and everything.
When it all came out
the media basically painted a really bad picture of Usmanov and basically called him like a shark, basically trying to take over English football or whatever. And then Kroenke was put in this brilliant light of like, oh, he's such a shrewd businessman, proper American, blah, blah, blah. And then that whole romance with him started instead. And, and in hindsight, I know hindsight's always 20/20 and all that, but in hindsight, if we had had Usmanov, we would have probably been in a much better situation now.
100%. And what we did wrong with this owner, well, I've said it before, we fell between two stools. We were laughing at Chelsea, you're selling your soul to the devil.
Yeah.
We stay as we are. We haven't got as much money as you, or never will. But at least we own our own club.
Yeah.
It finished up. We don't own our own club anymore, and we've got no money.
Exactly.
So we lost on both sides.
The sheer irony behind it all. Yeah, I know. But also the amount of times Usmanov himself came out publicly, went on Sky Sports, did interviews here and there, and for all these other media outlets, saying about his ambition and what he wants to help the club clear the debts and things like do what he can to help clear the debts and things like that. And as Sam says, have unlimited funds to go out and buy the best of the best and be competitive and win league titles and compete in the Champions League. How many times did he say it? But somehow, like Tony says in the chat, Usman wanted to put money in, as we already touched on, but was never given a seat in the board either. We've all seen that infamous banner as well, which was it Red Action or someone was partnered up. They partnered up with the club to produce the banner. Hate Usmanov. When Usmanov was trying to, obviously, he was part of the club. He had shares in the club. Hate Usmanov. Love Arsenal.
Well, the thing is, though, it's like when they were both sort of vying for trying to take over the club, wasn't it? You know, it was one of those things. It's sort of like if you own a house with somebody else, you're not going to tart it up, are you? Because you're not going, when you sell it, you know, or the other guy's not going to get in, you're not going to do it up on his behalf, are you? So it was one of those. So while they were both vying for position to buy the club, neither of them were investing. So we were stuck in a sort of Groundhog Day situation for years while they were trying to sort it out with who was going to be the owner of the club.
And they decided on Kroenke. They decided on Kroenke in the end, and I think that stabbed Dean in the back basically, and so he went.
Because he was hell bent. They were like, no, we don't need these too many. And then the irony is, they said that, and they're going to fucking sell their shares to him anyway. And then in the end, Usmanov's trying with the lesser shares still to try and buy Stan out. But Stan, being the man he is, no, I'm not going anywhere because we are. And so, if everything he owns, we are the big gold money pot that helps his franchises over in the States. Let's not beat around the bush because we're a Premier League club currently in London.
A big asset.
A massive asset. He's took loans out in our name to cover stuff out in the States. We all know that. The guy, when he was only like 74% of the ownership he had, the majority shareholder at the time, was taking £300 million out of the club and going, well, because I'm the majority shareholder, I don't need to explain myself to you fans. Go away. He turns up to AGMs and he just sits there and doesn't talk to the fans. The fans are asking him directly questions. He don't talk to them.
Then they bought him off. He bought him off, didn't he? Because 100% ownership bought off the trust.
Because Usmanov gave up.
He doesn't have to even do anything. He doesn't have to have meetings. He doesn't. We can't. No one can question whatever they do now. If he wants to take up the club and put it in Russia, we can't say or do anything. No, exactly. Legally, he can do what he likes.
Exactly, because Usmanov in the end, just because he made one after the first attempt in the first season we fell out the 16-17 season, he made an attempt of 500 billion, whatever it was, to buy out Stan. Even though Josh was telling him, "No, Dad, we need to sell because the fans are turning on us. They don't like us. This could get even worse for us financially." No, I'm putting my iron fist down. Fast forward to a year and a half later, he makes one last attempt to buy the club. Usmanov gets turned down straight away. So he's like, "Well, fuck it then. I'm out." He sold his shares to him, and then that invoked everything that happened afterwards, with the fans will be forced to give up their shares.
Yeah, legally, you've got to sell the shares legally.
Yeah, there was no option. They couldn't
conditional sale.
Yeah. And Bargov saying in the chat about Abramovich, sorry, he was saying he wasn't allowed in England unless he gave up his accounts. Yeah, when Theresa May was Prime Minister at one point, his visa ran out and he had to actually show where his money was coming from, and he refused to, and wasn't allowed in the country. Basically, obviously he is now because obviously she's not in charge, and I'm not going to go into it because it's all politics. But he's now back in the country, obviously, because he's now sacking managers. So Usmanov got plenty of putin money as well. Yeah, but you're not disputing that, obviously.
Oh yeah.
I'm not disputing that, but obviously,
he's got a lot of dirty money, but so do a lot of those people.
You're trying to tell me no other football clubs have dirty money?
Look at the Middle East. Look at the Qatar money.
Look at Man City.
Christ.
Anyone who earns that much money is obviously trodden on a few people to get there, haven't they? So
that Qatar money is just dirty as fuck, honestly. Jesus Christ.
The Russian money is just as bad.
Oh, it's terrible.
They're both terrible. But the irony is, Man City's money is more dirty than Russian money, and that's saying something.
They got
Anyway.
the contracts, all the oil contracts. When at the end of the Soviet Union, when it broke up and it became privatized, these guys who are high up, with all the right people, they get all the contracts to get all the oil, the oil refineries up in the Siberia and out in those areas. They've got those contracts, took over the contracts, made themselves billionaires by selling to different, countries, oil supplies to different countries, and basically took over the operation and wouldn't give any of the money, all the money, basically took like 100% of the money in their own pockets and didn't give to back to the local community or anything, because before it was nationalized, everything was all nationalized under the Soviet Union, the local community under the local governorship, a lot of the money got put back into the local community. But when it became privatized, they just took 100% and said, fuck you to all the local people. And that's why you got all these impoverished communities in Siberia and all that everywhere, because none of the oil money goes to them. It goes in the pockets of Abramovich, Usmanov, and all these other guys who got those contracts and everything. And it's terrible. The hundreds and hundreds, even probably thousands of lives, poor people's lives are, on their conscience, but they don't care. But that's what it's like with big money, right? Like Russ says, you gotta step on a few heads, to get to the top.
Yeah, sorry. This comment on the screen here, this does concern me actually, because look at when James is saying, look when Everton moved to the new ground, Usmanov ends up running them completely. He's already behind the scenes. We all know he's already behind the scenes working with an ex-Arsenal man himself, another ex-Arsenal guy. So this concerns me. If he does get the full way off you guys, there you go, Usmanov.
Yeah, you mean there'd be a force?
I think there'll be if what he's been telling the media about us, they will be a force. If he's a man of his word, then that concerns me because of where we are at the moment. And
look what Usmanov's done already with Everton. Look what he's done already. He's only been there for a few seasons.
So he's working behind the scenes at the moment. So when he gets full power,
we're sitting in 10th. We're sitting in 10th, possibly 13th. Every team is doing a lot better than we are right now, and that has nothing to do with their ownership or anything. They've got a better structure, better manager. Even some have better players than us. So the entire system is broken for us, and
that's what we need. We need some of that. We need some of that Middle East money because we're the biggest club in the biggest financial city in the world. We're a huge asset for anyone who wants us, and to turn us into a successful club is where the money is. That's what these Americans don't figure out. Is if we were actually successful, we would generate a lot more money through marketing, sponsorship. All of that. How do you think Real Madrid are the most profitable club in the world?
Not profitable, Sam. They're not profitable.
No, not anymore. But they were.
If you look at Spanish football, it's got no owners.
I'm talking about revenue, right? I'm talking about revenue. Yes, they've messed up a lot with their expenditure and all of that. But I'm talking about revenue. Real Madrid's revenue is absolutely massive, and it's because they have always been winning, right? For years and years and years and years. That's the formula.
They've got a great history, Real Madrid. Yeah. They're a great name. But on the other side of the coin, Gary, you're talking about how clubs are well run, and I agree with you. Look at Leicester. Have you seen their transfer dealings the last 4 years? Unbelievable what they sell players for. They sold the left back to Chelsea. Have they missed him? No. Will they get 50 million? They buy these players like Maddison. What's that? Sorry.
I'm just saying, but also the Leicester owner. Well, obviously the son now, but also in the dad beforehand.
Yeah,
they cared. Stan hasn't cared. I
mean, he's not around.
And Leicester has changed their manager and coach, right? In between all of this, so obviously that's not going to make the difference, right? The structure above the manager and coach is what kept them afloat and kept everything running. We got a new coach and then started cleaning up everybody that he reports to. And we're not even there yet. We still have one Garlic coming in, and then probably somebody else coming in, and then maybe we can say, you know what, let's steady the ship, figure out if we got what we need in Arteta, and then continue on forward. I mean, they say rebuilding. We are we kind of like, I think we're like stopped right now, making sure we have the right people to steer this ship. And then we're going
The issue for me is that we shouldn't care who the owner is, as long as the people below them actually running the club are the correct
That's the
people.
problem, though. Those people are the
That's
problem.
where we have not. We shouldn't be going to stand with a begging bowl. We should be. We should have the people in the right places doing the right things, and that is where we haven't had that for years and years and years. Even when Wenger was doing everything, and then when he went, we was like, oh what do we do? We've got no idea what to do. We don't know who to put here. We don't know who to put here. We don't know who to put in charge of transfers. We don't know who to run, and we just get our mates in. We get in various people or whatever, and it just hasn't worked.
Yeah.
The clubs like Leicester, they and Liverpool, they bought their clubs and they right. We need to get this person in at this position. We need this person running this. And they've done it, and they've seen the fruits of their labour. We haven't done that. It's taken so long for the sort of the hierarchy to get sorted out, and it's still not done. Don't get me wrong, but that's where we have fallen behind, and that is the issue.
Yeah. Sorry, a question in the chat from Sam Fisher. Looks like he's new to the channel. Hi, question for the panel. Arteta said this team is manageable now, that some players have left. Now some players have left, but players like Willian and Aubameyang have down tools. False. So basically saying, is Mikel just making up crap for the media just to divert it from the players?
Willian's just not good enough, is he? So
yeah, I think it's 50-50. I think he does need to give the fans a vote of confidence in himself, but I do think there's a part of him that truly does believe that the team he's got, he can manage, because we have kind of, to a degree, taken the egos out of the team. He said a few months back, the people who are leaking these stories about what's going on in the training camp, he's going to deal with them in the harshest consequences. It seems like he's just got rid of them. So we may start to see a different Arsenal moving forward, but he does have to give a PR stunt at the same time. Otherwise, you're just going to turn on him.
Yeah, and then for Robin in the chat saying first half versus Wolves was Arteta blueprint how he wants us to play. It does look like it, but at the same time, he's more consistent. And he's been long enough, over a year now. It's long enough. Come on, he got also, as I said, he had a week. He have a week between a week and a day between obviously yesterday and obviously our next game. So he's got enough time on the training pitch now this week. Because after this week, it's coming thick and fast again. Because we've got Europa League. We don't know what's happening next. One leg or two-legged affair, where it's going to be played, or whatever. But we've got Leeds, we've got Benfica, we've got Man City, we've got Leicester City. We could have Benfica in between the Man City Leicester City game as well, if it's a two-legged affair. So this is the last opportunity where he needs to get his team together and just go, okay, we all come together now. We all need to calm down. And we look back at that Wolves game and say that first up to the 45th minute, this is what we're going to watch. This is how we need to keep going forward, because that was positive. That was good because the fans were getting on board. Go and look on social media. They're all praising you, for fuck's sake. Do something to give them a rocket up their backside so that it becomes a more consistent thing. Because, again, like Melvin said before, James reiterated it in the comments, Leicester are a fantastic run club. And when they sell players, they buy better or buy to replace them. Their scout market,
we're a Tsunami fan base, though. I think I don't think if we look at the names there, you're going to tell me before they came to Leicester, we would be happy if we signed any one of them. Probably other than James Maddison, because he's an English player. We've probably heard of him. We wouldn't like any of them.
That's part of the problem. We were after
Soyuncu. But that's the problem, though. You know what? Why should Arsenal care what I think or the other 100,000 fans out there think?
No, but I'm saying,
but I think they do, and that's the problem. The marketing team is running Arsenal. Right,
yeah.
Marketing is running Arsenal, not football people. You know, if they were, then like you said, we would pick up players nobody's ever heard of, and it wouldn't make it. And we would know from past experiences that, you know what, these players are going to come in, they're going to give us what we're lacking, what we're missing, and it doesn't matter who we bring in because the structure's there. All right.
So I think that they're pressured by the fans because of the fact that the lack of signings. Like, we've had seasons where Petr Cech was our only signing. Then we go on to the next window, we have one signing. I think they're trying to cover their asses with big signings just to keep the fan base quiet, and I think they do care to a degree what fans and what shirts will sell, because any one of them wouldn't sell, in my opinion.
You know what? Everybody's still going to buy an Arsenal shirt. I mean, that's
Well, not
what I
theirs.
know, right? But you know what? It doesn't matter.
It
right?
shouldn't. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
matter.
It shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's just the way we're run, and that's the issue. We need to start getting the structure right, and I do think we're streamlining the corporate process because we've started to get rid of the side people, and we've streamlined it to one per sector. But it's a long way to go, I think.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
well listen, I gotta go. I just wanted to say thank you for letting me in, Ryan. Melvin, Gunnarsol, Russ, and Sam. All right, everybody in the chats. Thank you. Have a good night, and I'll talk later. All right.
Yeah. See you later.
Have a good one.
See you later, guy. Yeah, the Assemble was saying in the chat as well, because obviously there was a comment about someone else saying about who it was who was after buying Newcastle. Would they succeed if they bought Arsenal? And the Assemble comes back in response to that, saying the way Arsenal are being run, I don't believe anyone can buy them out. I'm afraid to say, Arsenal are the Newcastle of the South.
We're too expensive to buy out. That's the issue. Because if you were to talk to Stan about how much it costs to buy he's going to say billions and billions of pounds, and I don't think anyone in reality wants to be investing that to understand that he needs to put in maybe another 400 million pounds into the playing field before he can actually then see a return on his investment. And I think people are looking at it. We may as well go buy a Newcastle. That's probably going to cost us maybe 500 million rather than £4 billion, and that's the issue.
I mean,
he will never sell. You're saying get a return on his investment. If he sold tomorrow,
as if someone came in to buy Arsenal, they're going to be wanting to spend nearly like 4 to 5 billion to get that return on investment. It's going to take a very long time.
He will get a return on it. If he ever wants to sell it, someone will buy it, and it'll be double what he paid for it.
No. I'm not talking Kroenke, sorry. I'm talking the potential buyer.
The buyer would have to spend billions.
Way too much money. Right, before he sees anything back, and I don't know whether they want to risk that.
That depends on the potential person. If it's like a Man City sort of consortium, maybe it won't be a problem. But you don't
possibly,
Unless we're really toxic, unless it really, really gets bad, and then people just don't show up to matches. That's the only way Liverpool sort of got rid of Hicks and Gillette.
But that hasn't mattered though. If you look at COVID, no one's there, and he's still not thinking about selling.
If people were allowed in and no one turned up, I mean, that would be like, that's big news. The media can't cover that up. That is.
There is a difference. Sorry, go on, Russ.
I was going to say, I get where Melvin Russ is coming from, because the only times Stat and Kroenke or the KSC, or you want to go about it, have acted as owners, is like, for example, Arsene Wenger. The only reason that happens when that season when he announced he was leaving is because obviously suddenly, for the first time as a fan base, we were being consistent. Obviously, there's every now and then in the build-up for a couple of years, every once in a while there'll be a game where there'll be 20 seats here and there, but to the level of where it was at that point, and consistently game after game after game, you're hitting them where it hurts potentially, and it's like, they're making them look bad on them, because especially when it's on live TV, it makes them look bad. And that's when he obviously acted with the Wenger situation. And again, it's the same thing. Again, it happened again under Unai Emery. But the thing is, that one, it was one game that when no one turned up midweek for that Frankfurt game, and he acted. And I think that's what Ross is trying to say. If the fans had the option of going there, and we decided no, we're not going, we're going to stay at home and watch it at home via stream or whatever, and do that same thing, maybe again more long term, consistently, the proper fans, the fans that go in week, your season ticket holders, things like that, then maybe you'll be like, oh, fuck, this ain't worth it. I'm not getting any money back from this. Maybe someone comes in, the consortium, for example, that would he can go, okay, you clear up this mess, off you go. Maybe that's what I think Russ is trying to come from.
But the issue with that is that it's a mixed message, because we don't know whether the protests are against the owners, because there are fans who have protested against the owners, and they still haven't left. The season ticket situation, obviously, as I understand, I'm not a season ticket holder myself, but you've had to be in a waiting list for years upon years before you even get considered for one. And if you're going to give that up, someone else is going to come and take your place because they want to come and see Arsenal play. So they're always going to, the money side of football is always going to be there, because the tickets are bought, they've already sold the venue. It's just, how do you really get the message across that it's the owners we have a problem with and not a manager or external issues, for example?
Chanting, when you're literally go outside the stadium with your banners like they did before and chant, and then walk away. Go home, go down to the pub or whatever. Don't put the money back into that club.
Look,
you have to financially hit them where it hurts there.
The thing is, what will turn the screw with the owner to sell is one word. The one word: brand. Arsenal is a fabulous brand, and if you suddenly have the cameras panning around and there's no people there, or it's half full, that will kill the brand after a period of time.
Yeah.
And that's what Kroenke is the only thing I can see in which to say enough's enough with him.
Yeah, and that's
it's
what I meant
the brand. It doesn't mean about what money's coming in, because as you said, we've got COVID now, no money's coming in, and we're still running, and we're still paying the wages. So it's the brand he wants, I believe. I can't read into his. I reckon his idea is in X amount of years' time, instead of Sky or any other channel you might want to mention, each football club will have their own television channel.
Yeah,
they get out of Sky because they can afford to do it, and they will charge every Arsenal supporter, for example, X amount, £5-10 a month, I don't know, which we'd be delighted to pay. Instead of paying £50 or whatever you pay for Sky, you might pay £10 a month to watch your football club. You might want to do more, I don't know.
Home and away.
When you think of the millions of supporters worldwide that support the Arsenal that would have to pay £5 or £10 a month, how much money that would be worth to the owner who owns 100% of Arsenal. It's untold, right? And I think that is the thing. That is the pot of gold. Though he's doing very well nicely on his investment, because what he put into what he could potentially sell for, given a couple of years ago, I know for a fact, was a lot of money. He would have doubled, trebled his money easily. But going forward, that is where it's all at. And if he can keep himself level, not having to put any of his own money in for the next X amount of years till it all happens, then he's laughing. And that's if it does happen. And I think there's a possibility. They're talking about now splitting up the European clubs are going to make another league or something, a Super League. That can only be done on television. People aren't going to go and fly to watch their away team in Europe. It's got to be on television again.
Of course.
I think that's where it's at.
Sorry, I was just reading not long ago. There's been some interesting developments within UEFA regarding plans to redo the Champions League.
That's right.
And I think that is based on them worrying because of this whole situation we're in now. That the clubs are probably going to struggle for a few years now financially to recoup some of this money that they've been losing hand over fist. And there's been worry about them breaking out and creating their own Super League and all that for television rights and all extra money, blah blah blah. But now, so the UEFA have put together some suggestions of redoing the Champions League, and they want to make it basically into one big league. Is the idea? Yeah. No group stage. It's just one big league, and you have like a playoff thing at the end based on who the top teams are at the end, like a playoff system. So I think it's rather interesting,
Yeah, I mean, also James says, Melvin is spot on. We tried this years ago. Arsenal was with Granada and it was on ITV's pay-per-view in the early 2000s, if you remember. We tried to go over channel like MUTV. We also tried it again. TV, we also did try it again 2008, 2009 with Santana Sport. We partnered up with them. So I did a deal with them. Launched a channel on like Sky. It was on the you was like to subscribe. Yeah, it was like literally it was like 5 minutes. It was gone. But it was like if you had Sky or whatever, but you had to subscribe to things like pay extra like you do with BT. If you don't have BT, things like that. But it didn't. As Russ said, it didn't last long because
there's only so many subscription services people will buy. I mean, you got like Netflix, Amazon, you've got Disney, you got,
and also,
you know what I mean?
Also, yeah, you're right. That is a good point. But also, all these. I mean, I've seen quite a few of these different club TV channels. They're all so fucking boring.
I mean, they just play matches from years ago.
All you just show is old reruns and that. And how many times can you see a training session where they're basically just doing that what's it called, that kicking the ball to each other around some cones and that, and playing a bit of five-a-side. I mean, then they have the same interviews, all PR, nice prepped and ready interviews. Do you love Arsenal? Yes, I love Arsenal. I love it. The club, yes, I love it.
Could you imagine if you were a club that hadn't won anything and you had your own channel? What would you show? You'd just be like.
Those TV channels, they're all boring.
And the one time we got interest.
If it was the only way you could watch your team play, you'd sign up, wouldn't you?
Yeah, if it's the only way, they're still boring.
Yeah.
The one time we got interest. The one time it got interested is when Roy Keane went away from the grind of the PR side of things. So it was when they lost like 5-3 or something like that, and he just went into every single player. And then
that's true.
What are you doing? And then literally, so and I remember that. I couldn't believe that. It made big. I love his honesty.
I saw the game tonight.
Yeah, I saw it. I watched the interview.
He was hilarious. He's the best. I love it. He sits there.
He's biased.
Right, Roy, what do you think? And he sits there. You can see his eyes going. With the cogs in his head are going.
You can see the steam coming out of his ears.
Yeah, and he goes, and he says it, and you're going, wow, that is so good. And the geezer in the chair, Sky Chair, goes, what did he say? And and then he goes back to him again, and he's spot on. He's absolutely spot on, Roy Keane. He was slaughtering Liverpool about this one's not fit. Not fit.
He doesn't.
That's silly. They've got to do their best players now. They've beaten 4-1. Don't tell me he's not fit for Liverpool. He's going. He's absolutely nailed.
He doesn't mince his words, does he? He likes to say.
He's brilliant. Yeah. He's brilliant.
I'd
rather watch him in the game. I brought that out before. I'd rather watch him sometimes in the game.
No, he doesn't mince his words. He doesn't hide the fact that if he ain't happy, he ain't happy. He ain't going to hide it for no one. And what was it he also said about when they won the league title? How they were so just because it's 30 years. I was just in the moment. They didn't talk about, we're going to defend it now. We want to defend this title. We want to do this. We want to do that. Whereas obviously when his times, it was always, okay, we've won it, great. Let's plan for next season now. Let's go on. Especially this time, man, it was so close. Like the seasons, the end of that season, obviously because of what happened, was so close to the start of the new seasons. But there wasn't that drive, and it's. So I totally get. I love him because he does go against the grind. He does go against the Sky. He goes against a total media hypocrisy of what it is. He doesn't care.
He's not nice like the other idiots, is he?
No.
But the thing with those TV channels, I was talking about the club TV channels, was most of them didn't have the rights to show the live games. Of course not.
No.
You didn't see the live games. You only saw the bloody repeats, didn't you? That's why it was so boring. You never watch a live game.
Whereas, like Melvin says, if down a couple of years' time or 3 years' time, if it's gone on, maybe that becomes an option. Where obviously, as you said, pay a monthly fee, £5 or £10 a month, and you're watching every single game in that month, home or away in Europe or whatever, depending on what your team you support is.
Women's, you've got the under 21s, under 23s, you got all of that.
You've got all that option as well. That's that live content you've got there. That's your mate. That's your hook for your fan base. That's like, look, this is what we can offer you live, but obviously we will have pre-recorded stuff, obviously, for the art. Like a player reviewing the game.
Which will be repeated all day long, the same stuff all day long.
But apart from that,
the news is the same all day long, and it's
true.
Sky News. I stopped watching Sky News. When Sky News was first on, I thought it was quite good, and then it was just the same loop again and again and again.
And it's very political now as well, which I don't like.
I can't stand it.
You talk about a team winning the title and going for it again. When I was growing up, Liverpool used to win a title, And that summer bought the best 1 or 2 players from all the other teams in the division because there wasn't a lot of foreign players coming in then. And they put them in the reserves for about a year. Then they brought them. Then the next year, they went to the first team. And it was amazing how many players they did it with. And I was thinking, when are they ever going to stop? When is this actually, when is going to give the other clubs a chance? Because I had it on a conveyor belt at Liverpool. But things
it was like
change.
United in the 90s, they would just buy one player every summer.
Yeah.
Because it was just that conveyor belt thing. And they would still either finish first or second. It was just...
They had a great foundation, didn't they? That was the thing, they had a great foundation.
But with Liverpool buying the best 2 or 3 players in the league every year, other clubs couldn't buy any foreigners or didn't. So the market had shrunk. So the other teams to be as good as Liverpool diminished. They had it to themselves really, and everyone wanted to play for Liverpool. Let's face it, they were so good.
Interesting fact shows you how much times have changed with all the foreign influence of football and everything. So the first year of the Premier League season, when they changed it to the Premier League, was the 92-93 season, right? Now that season there was all the clubs registered for the Premier League that season, right? Out of all those players in all of those teams, how many were non-UK?
What percentage?
15.
How many? No. How many players? How many players in total out of all those clubs, all those players, division. all the squads? So talking about Premier League, the first Premier League season, right? 92-93.
10.
How many players out of all the squads? Yeah. How many players are non-UK?
I'm going
about 100.
You're quite close, Melvin. The number is 13. There were only 13.
I would have got it otherwise.
I'd tell you what, Melvin, it's a brilliant guess because the first Premier League season there were only 13 non-UK players.
Wow.
And look at it now.
We've got a couple.
So now there's only about 13 English blokes.
We were the first. Arsenal was the first team to field an entire matchday squad with no English players.
That was under Wenger, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah. In the 06-07.
Chelsea was the first team to field an entire first 11.
Yeah, we were the first time without a squad.
And then we were the first one in the entire squad without an English player.
Frank McGarvey, I recognise the name. Frank McGarvey, yeah. I think I do, actually. I think I do, yeah, I remember. They used to do this with Arsenal. We used to buy players, never put them in the first team. Yeah, God, there. Go back a few players.
You know all the players, Melvin. Arsenal's history.
Well, I'll tell you what, Melvin, with Richard. With Richard is brilliant. All the old ones he puts in. He puts in people from 1885. He goes, you know him, don't you, Melvin? I said, no.
I know what website he goes on, Melvin. I
can't. That Who Am I quiz, I just got no chance with that, to be honest. Absolutely no chance.
Well, talking of the Who Am I quiz, it is going to be coming back on Wednesday.
Yeah, I take part because it's fun to take part. But I've got no bloody chance with Richard around. And Melvin, I can't beat Melvin either.
If Victor's on, no one's got any chance. Let's be honest. We don't just sit up camp and go, yeah.
Excellent.
We'll just fight for second, third, fourth, and whatever. Having people.
I'm pretty good from about 1990 onwards, but before 1990, just not great.
Richard,
Premier League.
Richard was talking about what was the score? I just about remember the score. Who scored for Arsenal? And he said, two players scored an own goal for us. I mean, he knows everything.
Yeah,
I think he knows the price of each ground hot dogs. What it costs he goes to the away grounds.
He has a photo. I'm pretty sure he has like a photographic memory when it comes to Arsenal scores. You know, both
the matches though,
and the players who scored, and who played and everything. You know.
I'm better at older things because I actually went to a lot of away games, so you just remember certain things, don't you? But recently, the last 10, 20 years, the big games I remember, obviously, or where things happen. But for a dull game, I won't even remember anything. I'll just about remember the result. I'm lucky, to be honest with you, because it meant much more to me growing up. You know, I mean, I don't know who we've got our next 4 or 5 games. When I was growing up, I knew who we were playing, what date, blah, blah, blah. I know it was easier then because they were cast in stone when you were playing a team.
Life gets in the way, Melvin. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think, they've got so much on at the moment. Yeah. And no, but it was part more of my life for football years ago. It just was, waking up on Saturday morning and thinking, oh, great, I'm going, hi for a day.
I bet you missed that.
Fantastic.
Do you go to the Arsenal still, Melvin? Do you still go to the Arsenal?
Yeah, I've still got a ticket. Yeah, I go with my son. Yeah. But I'd go under duress, I'll be honest with you. I've wanted to give my season ticket up for a bit, and I'd go because my son goes.
Yeah,
my son turned around and I'm not going anymore.
Part of it is the nice social aspects as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Steve in the chat saying yes, another quiz to make me feel like a
that quiz it's a challenge. It really is a challenge. It really is.
Oh dear. But yeah,
it's a brilliant quiz. It's a brilliant quiz, but it is hard. It's tough.
Yeah, but
how many you got coming on, Ryan? How many you got coming on Wednesday?
Mike has got what's the name from the Laguna's podcast, the host there. I can't remember his name. My name's blank now.
Not from the one from Arsenal Vision.
Not the Arsenal Vision. No. The Laguna's podcast. What was his name? Mike Freiberg.
Mike.
Oh,
I know. Yeah,
American
Mike. It was on before. Yeah, American Mike. It was on before when the judges was asked on. I'm waiting to hear back from a few others. I need to contact obviously our current champion. I have to because he is the defending champion. And yeah, I'll ask you guys later. Are you around for that on Wednesday?
I am,
8 o'clock. Is that all 3 of you?
I'll upset me. I'll make myself look stupid again. Yeah, why not?
I'll make myself look like a dummy again. It's okay.
Yeah, let's do it, Sam.
I'll be in the comments. Don't worry.
I'm in the top 3, will we?
I can't Google it if I'm on video, can I?
Well, depends how fast you can type as well.
Just pretend I'm looking somewhere else.
What? No, obviously I'm waiting to hear back from a couple of other people as well for that because obviously it's midweek and even though there's no Arsenal, obviously people have got their working from home and all that. But yes, sorting that out. And as again, I was wanting to know the full panel. You guys, the viewers, you're all going to know because I'll put it in the community chat here on the channel straight away, and I'll announce it obviously on Wednesday around midday, around lunchtime. I'll announce that. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of laughs. But as I said, I've got to ask him because he's a current champion. So if he doesn't come on, it might be a new winner. I doubt it. You may have a new champion at last. But yeah.
Does he keep if he wins it again one more time, does he keep the cup?
Yeah.
He gets one of those belts, doesn't he? He gets around his waist.
Yeah, and he gets it named after him as well. It'll be the Richard Butler Cup.
Yeah, bloody hell.
Oh dear. But yeah, obviously it's late now. It's getting on. It's like 11:30 over in the UK. I don't know what it is for Sam, but yeah.
Yeah, I want to see a bit of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, also that.
Starts now.
The kickoff, is it? Oh, okay. So yeah,
watching that. He loves it. My son watches the Super Bowl every year.
Yeah, best wrap that up now then.
Ryan's doing his watch along Super Bowl.
Oh bloody hell no! I can't do that.
Super Bowl for 4.5 hours.
I'll be dead.
You and Sam just like.
It's like, we've got another advert. Because that's basically what it is. About 4 hours of adverts, really. But
there's a bit of tackle. Wow. Oh.
For a 30-second advert, it's $5 million or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Absolutely incredible. Yeah.
Absolutely crazy as well. But yeah, Melvin, where can people find you as well?
You find me on this channel, thankfully. Great to be on it. Really enjoyed tonight. This is great doing this again, isn't it? A thing like this. It really is good.
Yeah, we're missing it. We're missing it.
I'm on Andrew's
pull your finger out, Ryan.
From Andrew's channel from Dull Square to Where, and on a Friday night before a game with Richard on over and over and over again when we talk to a supporter from the other team. talk about old clashes and old players that have played for both teams and other things as well. No, and you find me on Twitter on Melbourne. The only way is Arsenal marks, and as I say, we haven't done this for ages. It's really been good.
No, that's what I'm saying. What sort of delayed it? Because and what sort of delayed it? Because I knew I obviously took the foot off the gas with this sort of stuff. Was we getting ill the other week, and I was like, ugh. I couldn't physically get the energy to come sort this sort of stuff out. So it's had to be a bit of a delay there. So I do apologise. That's my health's fault, but it is what it is. We are back. We are doing these podcasts. We're going to do the podcast with the quizzes, the watch along still, player ratings. We're going to bring into the channel as well. If anything you guys want in the chat, let me know in the comments. If you want whatever other content you want, we'll look into it. Where can people find you? And obviously promote yourself.
You can find me. It's late. Oh dear. You can find me at RuggyBoy101 on Twitter. Find me at Arsenal Central, which is my YouTube channel. It's gone. It was there. It's gone. Yeah.
I saw that.
It's generally on the screen. Back on the screen.
Generally, match days you can either find me here or somewhere, but yeah, I'm usually here. So yeah, unlucky for you.
When's your next
partner in crime there?
Oh, this way. I'm gonna poke his eye out. He'll poke his eye out.
Oh, so this way.
Rivaldo all over again.
Yeah, Rivaldo. Oh my God, bloody hell!
Oh, hit me in the knee.
Yeah.
Oh dear, we got Steve as well in the chat. The assembled as well. Yeah, fantastic. Again, fantastic. You all like the sound. Everyone in the chat, James especially. James has been on it tonight. Literally hasn't. He's literally kept going.
He's been firing away.
I'm looking to get him on as well at some point for either podcast or quiz if he's up for it. But yeah, we're going to wrap things up now because it is what it is. And as always, guys. Sam, where can we find you as well?
Not really much going on my end at the moment, to be honest. I did have a channel, I packed it in. But anyway, I'm mainly here for watch-alongs with Ryan, and I'm also on a few other podcasts. Sometimes I'm with the Blind Gooner, and I'm on with regularly every week with the Arsenal fan circle, the American lads. It's quite good, and so apart from that, I'm here with Ryan a lot of the time. And these guys, there's lots of good stuff going on here. Thanks again for having me. Always good these little chats we have in between matches, and that it's good. It's been a while since we had one now, and it's been a good laugh. So that's good, and everyone in the chat has been great in the chat as well. So big up to everyone there, and. Look forward to the quiz. Well, don't really look forward to the quiz. I mean, in terms of I'll be shit, but it'll be and it'll be fun.
And we know you are.
Yeah, shit. And you know you are. Yeah.
Just watch along from yesterday. That was amazing.
Always come last or second last on that quiz. Bloody hell! It's fun though. It's good. Basically, catch me on Twitter. 1980_Greenwood. Basically, I'm on Twitter. I do a bit of stuff now and again, and So everyone, stay safe. Have a good night.
And as I was about to say, if you're new to the channel, you've liked what we've done tonight or whatever, do subscribe to the channel. Do hit the like button. Do share the content around with your friends, your family, or what that are into football, obviously. And as always, up the Arsenal. Come on, you Gunners!
Up the Gunners.